Hello, hello. Hey everyone. How's it going? Happy what's today? Thursday, right? Happy Thursday. We're almost at Friday. So today I did want to jump around a little bit. I wanted to watch some of the Gwyneth Paltrow ski crash trial. And they're currently on lunch break right now. So I try to review everything from today's testimonies in like two times speed. And then I'm almost caught up with yesterday's. Well, no, yesterday. No, actually, no. I'm almost caught up with day one, and then day two. It's a lot. Got to catch up with that one as well. But they're currently on lunch break right now, so I wanted to jump around a little bit, listen to some testimonies, and just do like a major catch up. Before I do that, let me just update my chat really quick. Lunch break. Brewing testimonies from Sanderson v. Paltrow. The plaintiff. Okay. That. Okay. Oh gosh, I'm so excited. We are finally not getting rain in LA anymore. It's finally gonna just be nice and sunny and hopefully a lot warmer because I'm double laid up right now. That's how cold I am. And I'm wearing socks in the house and I hate wearing socks in the house. How's it going, Alma? How are you doing today? Hello, hello. So for those of you guys, if you missed it, we did watch day one trial and we watched the opening statements from the defense side, the prosecution side, or sorry, not prosecution, defense and the plaintiff side. Sorry, this is not a criminal trial. And it was, very interesting. I would say like some of the other opening statements that we've seen before, these are probably kind of like, the information was, we got the information, but it was still kind of like, I don't know, it just felt like the jury is probably like, oh God, this is like, it's a bit of a shit show. I did. We watched a video. I like the rain though. I like rain too, but not like hail, not when it's like flood rain. Like it was, I think yesterday was when it rained and it literally just felt like someone just had a hose and just like sprayed it everywhere. So I like rain too, because that means, it's like the Stardew Valley thing where I don't have to go outside and water my plants every day, right? But oh my God, we were getting some crazy rain. I was actually worried about my little garden to see if it was like damaged or not, but everything looked good. I'm really surprised because we had some really bad hail 2 nights ago. And yeah, it was wild. I was like, oh, hell no. I wish I saw it in person. I've always wanted to see a tornado in person. Although it would scare the crap out of me, because natural disasters is really, they're really scary. You can't control, what direction the tornado's going. You never know what kind of turn events might happen. Maybe the tornado all of a sudden just makes a straight, like, what's going on in front of the door? I think there's a dog trying to get in here. But yeah, I wanted to let's watch a recap of some of the Gwyneth Paltrow ski crash trial. And again, on day one, we watched the opening statements, and then we had a major key witness for the plaintiff side that testified. And honestly, in my opinion, that person was probably one of the most important testimonies. And I didn't think that they were going up on the stand to lie or anything like that. Like he seemed like, sort of like he seemed credible, but in terms of like whether or not his memory is reliable, like, like when I say credible, like it seems like to me that like, oh, this guy, like, I don't think he's up there to like gain anything from this, right? I think he's up there to testify for his friend. But honestly, like I just didn't see he didn't really seem very reliable. Not only does, from what I've remembered, the man that is suing Gwyneth Paltrow, I believe he's blind in one eye. And it seems like even he doesn't know what happened. Like if he crashed into her, she crashed into him. Like it seems like he was just kind of confused. But the only person that apparently witnessed what happened was like 40 feet away, if I remember. Was it 40 feet or 40 yards away? I think he said 40 feet away. And they also said they're colorblind, so they can't really tell the difference between what Gwyneth Paltrow was wearing and what his buddies were wearing. And it seems like when the collision happened, it just looked like it was just one person just like melted together. So it's kind bit messy. And then the one of the red flags, in my opinion, was the GoPro thing. So in this email, Terry Sanderson, the plaintiff, that night wrote an email to his family saying, "I'm famous, ... And now some people do have an issue with the "I'm famous" title. I honestly don't have any issue with him saying "I'm famous, ... Like, I don't know. I think it could just be like a silly little joke or something like that. I don't think he was trying to gain fame or anything like that. But in that email, it said that, I don't know it verbatim, but it said something to the effect of like, "Oh, my friend and witness of the crash sent me this video," and it's a link. And apparently it appears to be a link to a GoPro video that's missing. And the daughter responds saying, they're like, "Oh my God, Dad, that's horrible. I can't believe you caught all this on the GoPro." And everyone's like, "Well, where's the GoPro? Oh my God, it seems like the crash was caught on video. Can we get that video?" But, we ain't got the video. So that's kind of weird too. And when we were asking, because in the email, it seems to purport that the person that had the GoPro footage was not Terry Sanderson, but it was the friend that was testifying. So while he was doing while he was being cross-examined by Gwyneth Paltrow's lawyer, the lawyer was like, "You know anything about this GoPro? Where's the footage?" And like the guy couldn't give any answer about it. It's like, what is up with this GoPro thing? So the GoPro thing is pretty sus to me, in my opinion. But yeah. I don't care for GP. It's actually funny. I was in Law and Crime earlier, and when people kept saying GP, I kept thinking they were talking about general practitioner because I was a little bit behind in the chat. And I was like, oh, they must be talking about some doctor that Terry had on the stand. And I was like, wait a second. Oh my God, I'm such an idiot. GP is Gwyneth Paltrow. But I don't care for Gwyneth Paltrow, but I think the guy that's suing her is aging. And that's why he's having all these health issues. Elmo thinks he's in denial. Hi, Gwendolyn. How are you doing today? Gwendolyn says, "Hi, girl. I think that man is a cash grabber." Oh, shut up now. I'm chatting with myself. No. It's good. I don't mind it whatsoever. Let me read your chat. Sorry. Sometimes I just go off on this like monologues, but feel free to chat away. I'll definitely come back and read what you're saying. You were on the 105 and it poured down like crazy. I'll pass on that. Wait, did you actually see it? 105 West by LAX, and bam, a dark cloud, and all the cars had to stop because there was zero visibility. Oh my God, dude. It sounds like an end of the world thing. I don't know. Like, we're getting snow 2 hours away from LA. Dude, there was some crazy hail, but now we're getting tornado and stuff like that. Like, it's wild over here. Oh my God. So my thoughts on this trial right now, I don't know. Like, I'm trying to give both sides the benefit of the doubt. But if I want to give Terry Sanderson the benefit of the doubt, I'm like, you know what? Let's go by what his ex-girlfriend, maybe one of his daughters saying, maybe some of the doctors. Like, I think it is possible that he may have suffered from a concussion. However, what we haven't really proved yet is, well, one, was Gwyneth Paltrow, was she really not paying attention? Or even two, right? Who crashed into who? We don't have that yet. So before we could even get to step two, which is, whether or not this man suffered from this horrible concussion and severely changed his life, yada, yada, yada. It's like, well, who crashed into who? And it seems like the only witness that saw the collision is someone that, in my opinion, not quite reliable. So everything else just kind of seems like fodder, but maybe we'll get some more testimonies that'll strengthen the plaintiff side or something like that. But yeah. Oh no. Yeah, I'm actually really scared of the earthquake. I have to contact my plumbing company and install it's like some sort of like what is it? It's like in case of an earthquake, it'll automatically shut off my gas pipe. So I need that apparently, and it wasn't installed here, and I don't know. We got to get that done. We've been pushing it off a little bit. He's definitely not getting the 3.1 million he was hoping for. Yeah, apparently now it's at like 300K, right? And then honestly, I just feel like, I don't know, how much money has he already spent on lawyers and doctors and all that stuff? Like, I don't know, maybe he can recoup some of his money back, but yeah. Yeah, it's like an emergency shut off valve. But I mean, honestly, if I ever experience an earthquake, I can just go out there and shut it off for, myself. But I guess like, it's kind of weird though, because apparently it's not required in California, or at least where I'm at, to have that installed, like an automatic emergency shut off valve thing. But yeah, anyways. Very interesting. So I want to do a little recap. We're going to watch some, I think Law and Crime has some recaps, and I watched them earlier, but I wanted to watch with you guys again. Again, they are currently on lunch break, and we'll watch some of what the doctor's testimony said. And then afterwards, let's catch up and watch some of the daughter's testimony. Sorry, doctor's testimony, daughter's testimony. I don't know if I got it mixed up. But yeah, let's just catch up a little bit. And the only one that I haven't seen yet. So I was catching up on day 1, and then day 2 I haven't seen yet. I've only seen the recaps. So let's watch. Oh, and then I want to get to Wisconsin versus the Zachariah Anderson verdict. I just want to see the look on his face when they read guilty, 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 because this is the dad that was staring down his daughter while she was testifying and making all these facial expressions like he was in disbelief and apparently, you know, trying to shush the daughter when she was on the witness stand. But yeah, I want to see that verdict, and I just want to see the look on their face. And you know what? I knew he was going to get guilty. It felt like it was an easy case. But should I just go to my history? I think that'd be easier, right? All right, let's catch up with was it this one? X-rays. Okay, this one right here. So here's a doctor that testifies on behalf of Terry Sanderson, the plaintiff. And he's going to say, oh, Terry had, you know, broken ribs. And I think he might be the one that also says that Terry has a concussion as well. But let's listen. Alrighty. And if you guys have any questions or anything, if you need to catch up, feel free to drop your questions in the chat and I'll do my best to answer them all. And oh, let me have my chat appear. And also, hi everyone. How are you doing today? Sorry. I'm just going straight into it. I hope you guys are doing well and I hope you guys are staying safe out there. Gwendolyn, because she wasn't bracing for impact. It's the principal now. Yep, I totally get that. She's like 100 pounds. I really can't believe that she didn't get injured if the crash was that bad. Christine Buckingham says she didn't ask if he was okay, didn't bother to get him a medic. At least, at the very least, she seems entitled, arrogant, heartless. Alma says the dude is funny. Zach and all his faces. Crappy Pappy. I think Gwyneth Paltrow. Insurance companies requiring her to be in court. Alma, when she called him the defendant, Lamau. All right, let's get this.
Dr. Gibby, I have a better photograph.
Okay, so I probably have to boost the audio up a little bit because, I don't know, my audio is not great sometimes.
Version of the chest x-ray. I'd just like to show that to you briefly so we can see it. This is Plaintiff's Exhibit 31.
So this is the doctor who reviews. I don't know when this doctor was seen. This might be a hired expert, I think. Perhaps that they hired this expert and then Terry Anderson was like, Sanderson was like, these are my like chest x-rays and blah, blah, blah. And I think based on the x-rays, he was like, oh yeah, like because your ribs were injured, it must have been that she hit you and then you hit the ground hard. But yeah.
One. Okay.
No, Alma, you're good. You're good. I just want you to feel bad if you're like, you know, like typing a bunch of stuff and I didn't get to you yet. So don't worry about it. We chill here. Oh yeah, hit the like button too, guys. Thank you. Yeah, when I live streamed like a day or two ago, YouTube didn't like my title. So sometimes this happens. Sometimes if you write something in the title or if you write something in the tags and YouTube doesn't like it, I think your video notification doesn't go out to your subscribers or it's not as visible. So I don't know what it was that I put in the title or in the description that they did not like. But yeah, thank you. Help with the algorithm. All right, Mr. Doctor. Might speed this up a little bit. I'm going to do like 1.25.
What is the importance of this to your opinions, Dr. Gibby?
This was an x-ray taken the day after his incident, showing a series of images of his ribs. And I think the importance of this is documenting the trauma that he sustained.
Okay.
White bands are the ribs, which are bright on an x-ray because they are denser than they are. And you can see here.
Sorry, this is where the audio gets a little bit kooky, and I think it's because the guy's he's probably walked away from the what do you call it? Not the podium, but like the stand.
Where the rib is disrupted, there's a fracture here. There's one here. There's one.
So these are the chest x-rays. We see some fractures.
Here. So he has, there's one here. So he has a total of 4 fractured ribs.
4 fractured ribs.
Lateral side. It was.
Oh, so I thought it was kind of interesting because I didn't really catch this, but 4 fractured ribs on the side. From what it seems like what the friend testified was that they said that Terry landed face flat into the snow. Because, like, I would think if you fell maybe sideways, that's how you could sustain, like, side rib injuries, right? Unless they're saying Gwyneth Paltrow hit him so hard from the... No, I don't know. Because, like, if he fell face forward, wouldn't he sustain other injuries on the other side? I don't know. Maybe he was position funky. Maybe he, like, twisted and turned or something like that as he was falling.
Right chest, and it's over a substantial area, maybe good 7 or 8 inches across his chest. But I just want you to see that these are, they're not subtle, these fractures are displaced, and they occur over a single.
Dr. Gibby, what's your opinion as to how these injuries were caused?
I think based on the stated testimony of the defendant, Craig Ramon, who was the only eyewitness, and based upon the pattern of injuries that are present here, what I believe happened is that he was struck from the left side, and that forced him into the ground.
Okay.
It's also been the testimony here that Ms. Paltrow was on top of him at some point, so the combined weight of the two individuals slamming into the ground caused the fracture and the head injury.
Okay, so he's not saying that when Gwyneth Paltrow impacted him, that's when the ribs cracked. It was when they both fell on the ground together.
And I don't think it would be plausible that if he were running into her that he would have broken the ribs on the side of his chest. He likely would have had his arms extended. He would have protected himself. He would have had knees, arms, etc. in front of his chest.
But then also, okay, because I mean, I don't know. If you're blind in one eye, let's see, and she came from the left side, I mean, is it possible that he also came to her right side and didn't see her on the left? Because I know that, like, even though if you're blind on one side, you still have a pretty good view. You just don't have, like, complete view over here, right? Especially on your blind side. But, I don't know. I feel like it's a tough one. Because, like, let's say, like, you know, they fell together. Like, he could have twisted and turned as well and maybe just, like, fell really badly, you know? I don't know.
And so he might have had other injuries. He could have broken a leg or an arm or wrist or something like that. But in terms of a frontal collision, had he run into Ms. Paltrow, I don't think he would have had these types of injuries. And I also think, you know, just given the differential in mass of the people involved, I think she would have broken his fall, so to speak, reduced his collision velocity and the impact, and probably had he been the person running into her, I don't think he would have sustained these types of injuries.
Thank you. Conclusions like you do.
Yes.
Now I'd like to talk about the head injury again. We went through the ribs. We'll go back and forth.
Yeah, because, like, cause some of you guys are commenting that, like, oh, you know, like, accidents happened. Sometimes you do things and you take on the risk. Like, if they were able to prove that Gwyneth Paltrow was just, like, grossly negligent, she did not care. Maybe, like, you know, she was warned so many times in the slopes and still didn't change her behavior. And at some point, her negligence led to crashing to someone. Like, maybe she was, like, drunk or something. Or just, you know, maybe she was, like, live streaming and not paying attention to people around her. Like, I don't know. Like, one, for me, it's like, even if we did, I don't know, like, they haven't shown that, you know, she was, like, negligent, right? And two, they haven't shown that, in my opinion, that, you know, it was her that caused the accident. You know, I feel like in order to get to step 2 with talking about the injuries and concussion and all that, they have to show all of that. But I don't know. Like, I do feel for the guy, though, because, like, I so far, I do believe that he probably had a concussion and maybe his quality of life did decrease after the accident happened. But is he really sure, though, that she crashed into him and not the other way around? Can he really rely on the words of his friend who was 40 yards, or I think it was 40 feet away, and then possibly colorblind and couldn't tell the difference between what both individuals were wearing? I don't know. It's a tough one. No, Rick, I think someone said that this trial might last like a week. So I think it's gonna last more than a week, but I don't know who the heck said that.
You've examined Terry Sanderson, and it was about 5 years after the crash, correct?
Correct.
What can you tell the jury about how persistent his injuries are and whether they are permanent?
I think the record is fairly replete with examples of where Terry has continued to suffer from some neurologic deficits, both in his ability to focus, his ability to perform tasks, his memory, and especially his interpersonal relationships, emotional ability, and anger management, and some of those things, which Terry had not had those issues prior to the accident. So I do think his symptoms have been persistent. There is some evidence in the record from his daughter that some of these things had gotten a bit better, that he had improved, but he wasn't back to normal.
Will he ever get back to normal, and why?
You know, I don't know. The human brain has some plasticity to it, but as we get older, our ability to reform neural connections and to improve diminishes substantially with time. And typically, if a person has not regained that function or lost capacity within about 12 to 18 months, they're probably not going to get it back. I don't know that I have an answer to that. You know.
Oh, sorry, guys. Did I switch the screen the entire time? I'm so sorry.
Ms. Paltrow, first of all, the record suggests that she was hurt. She was stiff and sore after the accident at lunch. At least that's what the ski instructor reported. She's much younger than Terry, and therefore probably more capable of that type of collision. But I don't want to speculate. I mean, she could have been injured, yes.
I'd like to refer you to the defense experts. You reviewed their reports, correct?
I did.
And why don't we start with the medical doctors, doctors doctors Black, Edgley, and Hesh. How do you differ, or what is your response to their opinions in this case?
Well, you'd probably have to refresh my memory on some of those opinions, because that's a fairly blanket statement, but I can recall at least some of the opinions of Dr. Black. He had reviewed the imaging and suggested that there was evidence of multi-infarct white matter disease, and there was atrophy of the brain. I don't think in Terry's case there's much atrophy. His cortical gyri, the cortex itself, is still very well preserved for his age. What he has is dilatation of his ventricles. So at least the inner part of the brain looks, the fluid pathways are dilated, but I don't think he has significant brain atrophy, as you might see in someone with dementia or multiple strokes or long-standing injuries. So in that respect, I would disagree with Dr. Black. I do think that Dr. Black discussed the diagnosis of normal pressure hydrocephalus, and I'd like to just say that is a clinical diagnosis, and Terry Sanders did not have any of the clinical symptoms associated with normal pressure hydrocephalus. He had radiologic findings of dilated ventricles, but he had not progressed. He had a compensated hydrocephalus, essentially.
Good morning.
But many people have dilated ventricles, and they do just fine. What he clearly did not have were the classic symptoms of normal pressure hydrocephalus, such as problems with his gait, ataxia, for example. If someone is ataxic, they're probably not going to be skiing. He did not have symptoms of dementia. He was a very bright, active, engaged person.
Yeah, because the argument now is saying that, like, oh, well, maybe he's just suffering from dementia. Maybe he's just getting old. But he's saying that, like, no, this guy doesn't seem like the type of person who's suffering from dementia based on what I've seen.
He did not have difficulty with urinary incontinence or, urinary problems. So the typical symptoms of normal pressure hydrocephalus, which is usually diagnosed later, I think it was just serendipity that these images found these dilated ventricles. But in Terry's case, I don't think they were causing symptoms, and I don't think they're the primary cause of his current symptoms.
Okay, so he thinks that because of the injuries, that it's Gwyneth Paltrow that crashed into Terry Sanderson, and Terry Sanderson fell with Gwyneth Paltrow on top of him, and that's how he broke his ribs. That's his opinion, all right? I wanted to watch this one really quick.
Mr. Owens?
Your Honor, we have...
Mr. Owens is a spicy lawyer. He seems kind of like, I don't know. He gets really spicy out of nowhere. It always surprises me. I'm like, geez, Mr. Owens.
A new camera pointed directly at my client, right there on the right, which I understand is from the AP. This is
During the recess, I'll have the court representative, Tanya, take a look at how that camera's pointed and make sure that it's pointed at the lectern rather than at the counsel table.
And this has been a problem where, for instance, reporters being in front of my client's car going out yesterday, cameras in her face, like
You
inches
bring that
away.
up during the recess with Tanya and talk to her about that. I've already talked to her about the fact that you've raised this issue yesterday, and I recognize it as a problem.
And I want to be advised if there are new changes, because it's just by chance that we see that there's a camera pointed directly at her, which is contrary to the decorum order. So I don't want changes without reporters telling you.
I think that's a reasonable request, so thank you. We'll take a short recess, and if you could let the bailiff know as soon as you're ready, Mr. Bueller. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Your Honor.
The camera that I referenced was a violation of the decorum order. That's the second violation in 2 days. Directly, still photographer, directly on my client's face, already transmitted nationally. So I'm mad. The decorum order, we spent a
Hi, Brandon. Yeah, feel free to post them in the Discord. Thank you. Thank you.
lot of time on. It's the court's order. People are subject to criminal sanction, and I want it to stop. I don't want to have to be the one raising it. I want them to comply.
The camera's been removed. As far as what's going on in the parking lot, I'm not going to conflate that with this photographer who's doing something differently. What's going on in the parking lot is Tanya has worked with your staff in determining how to handle the parking lot transitions, and I think that's been smoothed out. In terms of violation of the court's decorum order and have the camera pointing where it's not supposed to be pointing, I mean, essentially, cameras are supposed to follow the microphone. This is what the court has permitted is media coverage of the proceeding, not of the individuals who aren't participating in the proceeding when they're not participating. So if you're speaking into a microphone, you can expect that an image may be captured. If you're not speaking into a microphone, you should not be expecting that an image will be captured.
Okay.
And I do see this as a violation, and I've asked that the reporter be told that this is now interrupting our proceedings. It's now interfering with our proceedings, having to deal with these issues.
I want to make a comment about Gwyneth Paltrow. A lot of people are giving her a lot of shit about her facial reaction. She looks obnoxious. She looks like she's bored. She doesn't want to be there. She looks arrogant. I want to be honest and say this. I kind of feel for her because my resting, non-smiling face, it's kind of like that. It's just kind of like I've had people comment like, oh, what's wrong with you? Like, why are you sad? Or why are you mad? Or like, why don't you smile? Like, I don't know. I have the same issues as her where it's like, it's not how I feel, but I can't help it that my face just looks like this and it just rests like this. So, I mean, it could be possible that she is an arrogant fuck, but I don't know her personally. And I'm giving her the benefit of the doubt. I'm just like, you know what? She might be like me and we just might have arrogant resting face or something. I don't know. Maybe I'm not trying to simp for her or anything. I don't give a fuck about Gwyneth Paltrow. I didn't watch Iron Man because she was in it. I don't know anything else about her. I don't know about her pussy count or anything like that. But I have resting, arrogant bitch face or whatever. So I don't know. That's my comment on that. I also want to comment on, what else do I want to comment on? People were saying that like, oh man, she didn't ask if the guy was okay. She like left the scene and all that stuff. If I was skiing and someone crashed into me, I'd probably be agitated too. Now, if they look like they crashed into me and they were knocked the fuck out and they're on the ground unconscious, then yeah, you'd be like, oh shit, are you fucking okay? But we have two different recollections, right? One recollection from the Terry Sanderson side is that Gwyneth Paltrow crashed into him, fucking yelled like King Kong, and then crashed into him. They fell. And she was like, she got up and just left the scene, right? While he was unconscious for like 2 minutes. Now, from her side of the story, she said she was just skiing there. All of a sudden, this guy comes up from behind her, and they're like kind of like going down together. And at first she thought she was being sexually assaulted, but then she knew that like, oh, okay, it's probably not that. And then she's just kind of pissed because this guy just like ran into her and she's kind of hurt. But I believe from her side of the story is that he wasn't unconscious. He knocked into her. They're like, are you okay? Guy said, okay. Geek Patrol came by. You okay? You're okay? Okay. Like, let's just GTFO. And then she's still kind of like aggravated for the rest of the day because she's still kind of hurt, sore. She had a day pass to spend with her kids. And then she had to leave and go back to the hotel, whatever, early. So, I mean, I'm trying to look at it both sides of the story. So like if his version where like, oh, she knocked into me. I was knocked unconscious. I was like cold for 2 minutes and she fucking just dipped out. Yeah, I'd be pissed too. But then from her perspective, if I was skiing and someone knocked into me, they were fine. I would be agitated too that they ran into me, right? But if they were knocked on the ground, I'd be like, oh, are you okay? So I don't know. I could see like both sides. Oh, well, it's because Alma, when I'm streaming, I'm kind of like more conscious of like what my resting face is. Because there's this one time where I was doing something on the side and like I had my real like normal resting face. And then I had people coming into the chat saying, "Oh my God, you look bored. You look bored. Why are you watching this if you're bored? You're not even contributing." Like that's like my resting face. My resting face looks like I'm bored. I'm kind of like, maybe agitated. I'm just like, why am I here? But that's not how I feel. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be streaming this stuff if I didn't care about it, right? But that's my resting face. So I have to be self-conscious of my face when I'm streaming. So I have to my eyes have to be a little bit brighter, and I got to curl my lips up a little bit to make it look like I'm not like sitting here like this. Like, this is my resting face. And I can't help it, it's just how it is. But yeah, I grew up all my life, people saying they're like, "Oh, what's wrong with your face? Like, why are you not smiling? Like, why aren't you happy? Why do you look pissed? Why do you look bored?" Like, I don't feel that way. This is just how my face is. So, at least that is. Okay, so camera pointed at her. She's not happy. Let me go to... I don't think we need to go to the recaps. And actually, the court will be back in session. It says in 5 minutes, but let's get a little bit of the daughter's testimony in, and we'll do a catch-up because they talk pretty slow. So I think we can get away with 1.5 times speed. Okay, let me go to... This is the live right now, right? All right. So, what else do we got here? Oh, so today's testimony for day 3, we have Dr. What was her name again? I remember her first name because it sounded pretty. Dr. Alina something. She's a neuropsychologist, and she evaluated Terry, I think, in the 2017, so about a little bit over a year after the accident happened, and she has a like a specialty in I guess victims that might have suffered from concussions. So we're doing a video deposition for her, and just a little recap. She's saying that "Oh, Terry spent the week with me, and it seems like he was a victim of suffered from concussion as a result of this accident." And then when she's being cross-examined, it actually gets really spicy in the cross-examination. But the cross-examination is just basically like, "Oh, well, did you look at his medical records prior to meeting him that day?" And she's like, "Well, I only took the self-evaluation." Then they're like, No. Did you look at his previous, I don't know, medical records, MRI scans, stuff like that?" She's like, "No, I don't need to do that because I only need to address the patient's concerns today, what they're feeling. And then we go from there." And they're like, "So you didn't look at his previous records about his scans and other stuff that he may have had issues with?" And she's like, "No." But it gets a little bit spicy because I can see what the lawyer's trying to imply, and I can see how she's trying to defend herself. So that's about it. So, apparently what the defense is saying, Gwyneth Paltrow's side, they're saying that "Oh, this guy already had brain issues. We have brain imaging scans and all that stuff. But what the doctors didn't look at was his previous scans from before. And there are some deficits in the scan that was already there before the collision happened." So, yeah, that's where we're at. And then it goes to, it's actually a pretty short deposition. Or actually, I watched it in 2 times speed. So maybe to me it felt short. Next, we have his daughter. So she is the middle daughter of Terry Sanderson. You're going to hear about the 3 daughters, right? 2 daughters are going to testify. One daughter apparently was estranged from Terry Sanderson for about, I don't know, the lawyer said 13 years. She kind of made a face, and it seems like the daughter was estranged from her dad, but I think her facial reaction basically said it wasn't 13 years. So not really quite sure how long they were estranged for. But apparently the youngest daughter, Jenny, she was going to testify, but somehow just decided not to. We don't know why she decided not to. It seems like, maybe she didn't have a great relationship with the dad, and, she was going to testify. She put it in writing that she was going to testify. Then all of a sudden she decided not to testify. So this is the middle child right here. And I forgot what her name was. She testified, and basically her and also Terry Sanderson's ex-girlfriend, they have the same testimonies, basically saying that Terry was a very bright man. He was very smart, intelligent, would fix things for us, was really happy-go-lucky, was very active. And then after the accident happened, he became a very cantankerous, old man. He was getting really grumpy. He was getting really agitated. He would have blow-ups. He didn't feel the same anymore. He struggled with some things that used to be easy for him. And so, of course, the defense is like, well, isn't it just possible it's just old age? But, they're saying that there was a huge difference of his attitude after the accident happened. She charges $75 for a 10-ounce goop candle. What does the goop candle do? I don't know too much about the goop stuff. Okay, I'm gonna go back and is the ski instructor gonna testify? I believe so. I believe they're gonna testify for Gwyneth Paltrow's side. A ski instructor helped him up. I'd be agitated, but I find their car and I'd find their car and key it. I don't know if I would do that. You know, I don't like getting in trouble over things. People are making fun of her for wearing Jeffrey Dahmer glasses. Wait, who was wearing Jeffrey Dahmer glasses? Corgi, you do not have an arrogant face like hers at all. Sometimes I do. Like my resting face, definitely. Sometimes when if you watch my Twitch streams, I definitely have like a very resting, like dead face. You shouldn't be skiing at that age, or if you do know, there's a huge risk. I'm one of those where if you knocked me over, ran into me, I'm glaring and moving on because otherwise that person's going to get a serious attitude from me. Agreed. I feel for the both of them, but her face is not going to help. I have nothing against her and her face. It's just not bothering, but I don't know about the jury. Good point. At 69, he should have been on a baby slope, not an expert. Deer Valley makes everyone sign waivers. Suing someone over ski accident is normal. I don't know what you find so weird about it. People sue for car crashes too, don't they? Yeah. I know I have a temper, which is why I would definitely leave too. Okay, so this is the daughter's testimony. During cross-examination, it just gets a little bit heated because the lawyer focuses on the relationship the dad has with the youngest daughter. Now, she does mention that the youngest daughter, who is 6 years younger than her, Jenny, she said that Jenny has like mental issues. I don't know what that means, or I don't know if she brings it up because that's going to downplay what the sister feels. But yeah, I do want to listen to her testimony. And I don't know, it's a long crime earlier and people do not like her. I thought she was okay. They have an issue with the way she speaks, but I was listening in like 2 times speed. So maybe it was not too obvious for me. All right, let me refresh this really quick. And yeah, court should be back in session. Okay, we're just waiting here now. Oh, wait, what? Perfect timing. Hello, Judge. Did you have a good lunch? I like this judge. He's like very chill.
Counsel,
Very
could you
calm.
approach just for a second?
I will say, though, the lawyers on both sides, I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're very professional in terms of like arguing back and forth and like talking over each other. I don't know. I thought you're supposed to be like kind of respectful of both sides, you know, to both sides, to each other. Sorry. And the judge is kind of just chill. You know, he's like, okay, all right. You know, he has like, I don't know. Judge just seems really chill. But the lawyers, on the other hand, are kind of like, they seem so messy. They seem like all over the place. The daughter looks crabby. The aura that I get from the daughter, she's like, I don't know. I think she's a yoga. She does like yoga. She's kind of like her dad, right? She mentioned like something about like she's really into yoga and like supplements and health, wellness, and she supports people's journeys. And there was one part on the stand though where I felt like she was lying. And I felt like she was lying because she didn't want to give the defense attorney a win. The question was, do you know if your dad and his ex-wife had an amicable divorce or something? And she's like, she was kind of battling a little bit. She was being a little bit combative. And he was like, so you don't know whether or not they had, you know, they left on good terms? And she's like, no. It's like, there's no way you wouldn't know. Your dad would definitely make a comment about it. No? She's like, well, all I know is that they're friends now. So I don't know. I felt like sometimes, like, you know, when people, maybe it's this lawyer's fault. Maybe he should have been so provoking. Because sometimes when you provoke people, people would just like get a little defensive, you know, and they'll just like maybe just lie, just make it seem like they don't lose. Okay.
That potentially falls under Rule 608 should first be addressed with and sanctioned by the court outside the presence, secured outside the presence of the jury.
What's going on here?
Okay, you with me on all that? I'm sure you are. There was testimony by Dr. Goldstein yesterday that the patient is not destimulating,
Huh?
or there was no destimulation. I think it's spelled maybe D-I-S, meaning the patient is not creating or enhancing symptomology for gain. There was also conversations that Mr. Sanderson had a good relationship with his daughters.
Mm-hmm.
There are various facts, some of which were already addressed, and I'm trying to avoid repeated bench conferences during the trial.
Oh, another thing I did want to mention was that the middle child did mention that, the dad never yelled, the dad never like berated us. The dad was like completely fine. It was only until after the accident that the dad changed and he was more like irate. However, this defense attorney was like, well, we talked to your younger sister, Jenny, and Jenny has a different account of your dad. She said that your dad has been verbally abusive for the past 10 years before the accident even happened, and was also verbally abusive towards your mom as well. They're divorced, by the way. So, yeah, but I don't think we're going to hear from Jenny, the youngest child. She was going to testify, but now she's not testifying anymore. But yeah, I don't know.
Especially this next witness. And I want to be careful and comply with the court's orders. All right, so there are 100 facts, Your Honor, that I think go to this issue of whether he is enhancing his symptomology for gain.
Mm-hmm.
Plaintiff's daughter, his own daughter, Jenny, says essentially his character is such that he will be dishonest and lie for gain. It's not quite those words, but it's essentially those words.
What are the exact words?
To become famous, essentially, he will lie. I'm putting it out there.
What does that have to do with the cross-examination that's about to occur?
Because I want to ask her if that's a true statement.
And what did she testify to on direct examination that's in response to?
You know, I didn't personally take those depositions.
No, what did this
Yes.
witness testify to here in open court that would I guess provide the relevance to that cross-examination?
I've only had 5 minutes and we haven't hit those questions yet.
I realize that, but I'm wondering.
So what I envision doing is saying, is this a true statement? And
From her
like
sister?
from her sister.
And what did she say on direct that opened that up, I guess is what I'm saying.
Yes.
Like,
and
for example,
I did tweak
let
my.
me explain my thinking. So,
Thank you.
The questions that you've already asked. I mean, this witness painted a fairly broad picture of her father's personality, his issue, his lack of issues or issues both before and after the accident. And so, I think it's fair game.
Is Terry Sanderson, is he in court? I don't think he's there, right? I feel like we haven't, the camera hasn't swung at him. Only at Paltrow.
Cross-examination to address those topics.
So, thank you.
Like you were.
I think I better understand your question.
So in other words, you said, well, isn't it? Or are you aware that your sister felt differently about this issue or that issue? And are you aware that your sister felt as though she was treated this way by her father? I think those are fair areas of cross-examination for this witness because of the fact that she offered testimony.
Yeah, I will say this lawyer lacks clean execution. I get where he's going, when he does questioning or when he does his like opening statements, but he just lacks that clear-cut execution.
Testimony on those topics. So I guess my next question, and as long as
I don't know, I thought he would have to be there too. I don't see him. Maybe he is back there. I didn't see him.
it doesn't, as the motion in limine order indicates, as long as it doesn't, I guess, tip the scale on 403 where its probative value starts decreasing because you covered the same area over and over again, or it's incredibly inflammatory and would be too prejudicial to read or to ask that question in front of the jury.
All right. So, can I address that this is within the scope of cross-examination?
Yes.
Thank you. I think that's sort of what you're asking. Your Honor.
They're crunching on a candy. Does he have a for cola as well?
All day.
Here's like crunch.
Were these neuroradiologists and neuropsychologists talking about every single aspect of Mr. Sanderson. For instance.
Yeah, I don't see Mr. Sanderson.
Well, this issue, literally an opinion by Goldstein that he's not faking for gain. All right, so I think it would be very unfair to my client to not address that issue with every single witness now that comes up. mean, it's their plaintiff's position that he is not faking for gain. It's the defendant's position he is faking for gain. So I don't think I should be limited for her to just hit 20 points.
And let's say we go with Gwyneth Paltrow's side of the story, because I just want to put myself in her position for a second, right? So let's say in her mind, we're giving her benefit of the doubt, by the way. Let's say in her mind, you know, this guy did crash into her. She was not able to ski for the rest of the day, and that's it. She forgets about him until, what, 3 years later? Was it 3 years later that he decides to file a lawsuit against her? Because the crash happened in 2016, and I don't think the lawsuit was filed until 2019. So she's probably like, what the fuck? Like, what is going on? If we gave her benefit of the doubt, right?
When I have a $3 million case to defend for my client on every aspect of his brain, Darlene, is that her name?
Is that the ex-wife?
Carlene, thank you, said this accident took the joy of life out of him.
Or ex-girlfriend, I think.
Goldstein, essentially the testimony is this utterly changed his life. And I think it would be wrong for us, be unfair to my client and just general, the system of justice, for me to be restricted tightly to, okay, only, I can only ask her about how he couldn't tie a knot. I mean, I need to be way broader than that.
He was
when we're
blocked?
dealing with
What do you mean by that?
claims.
Someone did mention that it was mentioned that they were saying that Gwyneth Paltrow was like hard to get a hold of or something like that. But yeah.
Severe permanent brain injury that's taken the joy of his life out. Thank you.
I think I understand the argument. Let me hear from the plaintiff. Mr. Sykes, what's your position on this line of questioning as it was just outlined?
I object. Wait, Mr. Sykes is okay.
My response is that that's why you have the rules of evidence, and that's why we had motions in limine to, troubleshoot these types of issues and get preliminary rulings. You can't just attack someone's character for the sake of it because his client's worried about how the case is going for him. It doesn't give him a right to attack someone's character based upon someone who's not going to testify, maybe read the deposition, who has incredible mental health problems. And it's not right to let him go beyond the scope. He can put his own case on when he wants to, But asking a witness, she's, I think,
49.
45. 49's been out of the
Virginia?
house nearly 30 years, And to try to force her to ask questions about whether or not her sister, who hasn't testified, is truthful, runs an incredible risk of prejudicing the jury for someone who's not going to testify. And so I think, Your Honor,
Yeah, Paltrow's side is like, damn, man, I can't believe the sister decided to back out of this and not testify. We got to get her testimony in somehow, or at least her deposition in somehow. He was coughing earlier. Poor guy.
When in doubt, go to the rules. And, excuse me, reputation or opinion evidence. A witness's credibility may be attacked or supported by testimony about the witness's reputation for having a character for truthfulness or untruthfulness. That hasn't come in. And the fact that a daughter that he didn't get along with thinks he might lie isn't reputation evidence. Or by testimony in the form of an opinion about that character. The evidence of truthful character is admissible only after the witness's character for truthfulness has been attacked. It hasn't been attacked. B, specific instances of conduct. Except for a criminal conviction. Under Rule 609, extrinsic evidence is not admissible to prove instances of a witness's conduct in order to attack or support the witness's character for truthfulness. Okay? Not admissible. But the court may, on cross-examination, allow them to be inquired into if they're probative of the character for truthfulness or untruthfulness of the witness or another witness whose character the witness being cross-examined has testified about. And so,
where he's pegging it?
I don't think so. This witness hasn't even testified. We're talking about Terry Sanderson.
Who's Terry Singers?
Jenny.
I know.
Yeah, why are we talking about Terry?
So the topics of her, the topics of her direct examination will create the contours of what the cross-examination might be.
Except for a criminal conviction under 609. Extrinsic evidence is not admissible to prove specific instances of a witness's conduct in order to attack or support the witness's character for truthfulness. Okay?
Is there something, Mr. Bueller, that...
Just the witness is Polly.
Polly, sorry, thank you.
But I mean, they're trying to attack Terry with specific instances. Can't be done. And beyond that, Your Honor, I think it's just unfair. It chews up time. We're going to be late now in a minute or two. He can put his case on. If he lays a proper foundation, he can perhaps read Jenny's deposition for what it takes. You know, they served her with an illegal subpoena in Idaho, and she thought it came from us. Now, I don't know if there was misrepresentation on it.
We've already addressed this issue.
But I mean, that's how.
You don't need to rehash it.
Okay. but I'm just saying that.
Focus.
She's not going to testify. They have a deposition, and the court rules provide that they can read that under some circumstances. So, let them do that. But why harass this witness, trying to get her to indirectly condemn her father by either agreeing or disagreeing with something that she didn't witness? It just makes no sense. So I urge you to deny his request.
Okay, thank you.
There's a attorney smarter than I am here, Kristen Van Orman. I'd like her to address it too.
Good. Well, I think I'm just going to hear from one lawyer on the plaintiff side.
Yeah, I don't
Anything
see
else, Mr.
Terry
Owens?
Sanderson back there, do you?
Plaintiffs did ask about personality traits on direct, and that his personality has changed. And
Was there any direct examination about truthfulness, though, and honesty? I don't have notes of that.
okay.
So I can see you questioning along the same lines of what you just did. I think that's fair.
And I did adjust my questioning to the court's concern.
But getting involved in, an underlying motivation for the lawsuit and for pursuing the lawsuit, I didn't hear any direct examination on that topic.
There certainly was yesterday, and
I realize there was with another witness, and you can certainly cross-examine or call those other witnesses and address that with them. But with this witness, I think the cross is limited to the scope, at least in the plaintiff's case. I mean, you can recall her in your case later, and that may change what you can ask. But at least right now, the plaintiff is entitled to put their case on.
so we did have an order. One of our orders is subpoena for one, is subpoena for all.
So one of the questions I will ask at the end of this witness's testimony today is this witness now released?
Would you prefer that? Frankly, I'm thinking of the witness.
I know, but right now the objection is beyond the scope.
Okay, so does everyone agree that that this witness will be available next week? I don't.
She's subpoenaed. I can remind her of that fact when she finishes her testimony.
She's not released.
Is she subpoenaed, Mr. Sykes?
We didn't subpoena her.
We.
Okay, so they want the ex-girlfriend to come back?
We emailed the plaintiff's lawyer. We intend to call the three daughters. Will you accept service? And I remember the answer being, but I could be corrected. We will accept service for these two daughters and not for this third.
Okay.
I don't
now-
receive that, Judge. There's
We do.
four of us working on this. I don't have
I-
a recollection of that. I'm not calling my good friend Mr. Owens a liar.
No,
but
because
I don't remember that.
I-
Person. Show it to me.
Stop interrupting each other.
Okay. So, by the way, if you can't tell, I'm not speaking. I didn't expect this issue to arise, so.
What is that pile of boxes right there? It looks so messy. What is going on over there?
I do recall specifically, and Lawrence was the one who emailed, we are not representing Jenny. You have to subpoena her directly. And this may take a minute, Your Honor. How do I address personality traits? I mean, these broad criticisms by their expert based on the fact witnesses without being able to talk to the fact witnesses about the basis for it. I don't know how to do that other than in this manner.
Well, all I'm saying is that we need to call the jury in. You can do your cross-examination, but if there, as to the objection, limiting it to the scope of the direct, that would be sustained.
Okay, and We can.
You can call the witness later.
The witness will agree to appear next week.
I don't know if she will, and even if she does, is that something that you can rely on?
How do we get subpoena for one is subpoena for all? What does that mean? That's the court's order. That, to me, that means.
It means if a witness has been subpoenaed, then they remain on that subpoena until the court releases that subpoena. If the witness hasn't been subpoenaed, then they simply haven't been subpoenaed, and I have no control over that.
Lawrence, will you agree that you accepted service of the subpoena for these two daughters?
No, that's not true.
Gotta go back to the emails.
Copy of the subpoena.
The three daughters, they live in Washington State. Okay. 3 states.
A copy of the subpoena, give it to her now. It's pretty simple.
Oh, sorry, I'm getting mixed up. I said ex-girlfriend. No. They want this daughter to come back when they present their case. But I think there was a witness yesterday that said something that he wanted to address, but that he was also not sure if that witness would come back next week. That's what I'm hearing.
Has the plaintiff subpoenaed Polly?
Oh, is her name Polly?
An email from Bob Sykes saying, we are intending to call Polly and Shay.
Okay. I think Shay's the oldest.
This is an email, January 24, 2023. And then,
All right, I'm going to use the restroom really quick, and then we'll catch up with this. We're caught up, so I just speed up a little bit. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, we are in Utah. I think Utah's like an hour ahead of me.
in response to a question, will you accept service of their subpoenas? I mean,
And what's the response?
All right. Well, while we sort this out, let's actually listen to the cross-examination.
So they didn't just have, 2 pie plates, they had. Correct.
And let me just, I think my nephew, who was once worked with me, took your deposition before. Do you recall that?
Yeah, Wayne Owens.
And we'll talk about that after lunch. He also took the depositions of your 2 sisters. Have you ever reviewed their transcripts, like actually read them?
No.
How about summaries of them?
More of an oral, like, maybe my sister Shay would say. I did ask this.
And then this is our 3rd day. I'm just wondering, have you watched any of the proceedings the prior 2 days?
No.
He said your dad is obsessed. He's sort of with this. Do you agree?
Oh, yes. I think at some point I had sent my dad a message that said, go for a walk. Please don't let this consume you, because I'm very aware that it has been consuming for him.
And in some sense, the resolution of this trial, whether it's for or against him, will be a good thing for him. Do you agree? Bring some closure for him?
For everyone.
And him? Yes?
Yes.
Oh, sorry, there's an audio, and so we always have to get your answer on the record. Thank you. The one that your dad said F you to?
Correct.
So her story was that she was like in the other room, and then she heard her dad raising his voice, and then all of a sudden she went in the room and the dad said "fuck you" to the youngest daughter, and she's like, I've never seen or witnessed that before. I've never seen my dad that angry.
Let me back up one more second. The whole lawsuit stems from, you understand that my client says that your dad plowed into her back. Do you understand at least that allegation?
I'm hearing that now.
And you don't personally know whether your dad did that or not, correct? You weren't present.
I was not skiing with him that day, no.
And when your dad talked to you about bringing
Which daughter saw the GoPro video?
the lawsuit, you had no opinion on it. Like, it's your thing. Is that fair?
I wanted to honor his journey. I think that's a big part that we have autonomy, and so I would support my dad, whichever direction.
Sure, but you didn't say, I think it's a good idea, Dad, that you bring the lawsuit. Or
I most definitely did not advise him one way or another. I think in hindsight now, I would say it's
Actually,
hard.
I have no pending. Oh, it's hard.
It will be hard, right? I knew that.
You kind of preface some of the things I'm going to ask you. So when I hear you say before, he's generally a healthy guy, before very good personality, before very active, good mental health, you understand that to compare what the ski accident did versus old age versus chronic health conditions and everything, I need to know kind of how your dad was on health, personality, mental health, activity level, and those things just before the event. You with me?
Sure.
So a lot of, when I say, for instance, he never seemed angry. He never got that angry with me. Didn't you say that? Like, for instance, his anger toward
That was a
Jenny.
new experience for me.
But it wasn't for Jenny, was it? Jenny's reported like 10 years of that kind of abuse in the last 10 years of your parents' marriage. True?
I can't speak to Jenny's experience.
Do you know
Did I
that?
witness that towards Jenny? I never witnessed that towards
Did Jenny ever tell you, like, your dad used to verbally abuse her and your mom for 10 years?
Jenny and I have a very
Yes?
close relationship.
Just a yes or no, please. I need a yes or no.
There's no foundation.
Your Honor, I need to be able to ask these questions.
Sustained.
Okay. Do you agree that you paint quite a different picture of your dad before than Jenny does?
So my sister Jenny
Yes or no,
has
please.
mental disability.
I just have yes or no questions.
There's no foundation for this.
Okay, let me just give you a little instruction about that I've already said in open court, so everybody else is going to hear this for the second time. But when you're being cross-examined, it's not like a normal conversation. So the lawyer is entitled to ask you questions that limit your answer to yes or no, or I can't answer that yes or no. So those are basically your three choices. If he gives you that kind of sometimes he'll ask an open-ended question, but if he's asking the yes or no question, he's entitled to that answer. And then later, Mr. Sykes will be able to clarify if necessary.
Okay.
Sure.
Maybe another way to phrase this too. I don't have a pending question.
Well, you did.
It's withdrawn. Go ahead.
Yesterday, the jury heard through your dad's mental health providers that I'm going to try to read this so I'm not winging it. Your dad was controlling, highly controlling of her long before the ski accident. Have you ever heard that from Jenny?
Your Honor, I object to the form of the question that misstates the evidence.
Overruled. The jury will remember what the evidence was.
Yes or no?
Can you repeat?
Yes. Has Jenny ever? Are you close to your sister Jenny?
Very.
Right. You're close to your sister Shay?
Yes.
All right. And always have been?
Yes.
Okay. Jenny didn't talk to your dad for 13 years after getting out of the house after high school. Is that true?
Object. There's no foundation for that.
No.
It's not true?
13 years.
Just a minute. There's an objection. What will you approach the bench, please?
All right, they approach for a little bit.
Overruled.
Your Honor, I have a continuing objection for the record on this line of question.
You may.
Thank you.
I'm going to tell you things that Jenny has told us under oath, and I want you to comment on them, okay? Is it true that Jenny moved out of her parents' household after high school?
Correct.
All right. And how much older are you than Jenny?
I'm 6 years older.
And how many years had you moved out of the house before Jenny moved out of the house?
So I moved out at 18, so she would have been 12. So she had 6 years at home without me.
Okay. And
Yeah, and those 6 years could be very different.
would you describe your parents' marriage as a
My experience that I had with my mom is very different than the experience that my siblings had with my mom. And I was only like 4 to 5 years older than them.
good marriage when you left 6 years before their
They were in the middle of a divorce and not an amiable one.
and his second divorce wasn't amicable either, was it?
Wait, what's the difference between amiable and amicable? Amiable. Friendly amicable. Is this the same thing? Oh, it's like the same thing. Okay.
She can always say, I don't know the answer. So when he says foundation, if you don't know the answer, rather than hear this objection all the time, you can just say, I don't know.
I don't know.
Spicy Owen.
There's one judge in the courtroom, it's not Judge Owens, so I appreciate it if you would try to explain to the witness what things mean.
That's, I am not a judge.
I think each questioner can give some ground rules to the witness, and I think it was appropriate. So.
Was the second marriage amicable?
I don't know.
Don't you really? You have no idea if your dad's second marriage parted peacefully or not peacefully?
I don't know.
This is where I think she lied. It's just my gut feeling, though. I think that things are starting to get a little bit heated between her and the defense attorney. And I think she's getting a little bit defensive. And she's kind of like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
What's your impression? Like, what do you know? Like, the divorce went smoothly or it didn't go smoothly?
I know that they're friends today.
Okay. So your answer?
It seems like they've been able to continue a friendship anyway.
The jury heard evidence yesterday by Mr.
Hey, Liam.
Goldstein, Dr. Goldstein, that these words described your dad, described your father before the ski accident. And I want you to tell me, just if you observe this, he was controlling.
No.
He relentlessly tried to mold people.
All people? Specific people?
Jenny,
I would say, yes, he did try to mold Jenny.
in a negative way.
I think he would say he was trying to be a positive influence.
I asked for your impression. Did you believe that's a positive thing?
I have no opinion on that.
Jenny has a pretty strong opinion on that, doesn't she?
She
Hey,
does.
Sarah.
That it was in an awful, unhealthy way. Is that her opinion?
Are those words used in a deposition?
Just ask.
Oh, go ahead.
I've been told not to read the deposition, so I'm just asking you to comment. Jenny believes it was an awful, unhealthy way. Do you agree?
No.
You think Jenny would say? By the way, let me ask you about Jenny for a minute.
Yeah.
Have you talked to Jenny about this trial?
She knew I was coming. Mhm.
Jenny committed in writing to attend this trial, and then let me finish my question, and then pulled out.
It's irrelevant. The jury should disregard the question.
Do you know if Jenny's planning to attend this trial?
To answer that? Oh, she is not planning on attending.
Do you know that there was a point in time when she committed to attend this trial?
Overruled.
Are you
I
aware?
was not aware.
Or that she was planning to attend the trial?
Asked and answered, so there's not relevance to any more questions along this line.
Did you or
It just seems like her and her sister's experience of the dad is just vastly different. But the sister did mention that Jenny has I don't know if she said mental disability or mental health issues. I'm not quite sure. She said it really quickly. So I didn't really catch that. Maybe she'll say it now.
anyone you know attempt to dissuade her from attending this trial?
No, she felt like it would be a financial hardship. I said I would be happy to pay for a plane ticket if she wanted to come.
I did too. Do you know that?
That's totally irrelevant.
I think the witness opened it up, so.
Do you know that I offered to pay too?
No, I did not know.
So did you weigh in on that, Jenny? I don't think it's good for you to attend the trial.
No, not at all. I honor people's journey, and so that's entirely up to her.
Lunch yet?
2 minutes?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if I believe that. She was like, oh yeah, I didn't say anything to my sister at all about this trial, whether or not she should come or shouldn't come, or I don't know. But, we'll take her word for it.
I believe with this statement with Jenny, your dad was constantly overstepping her boundaries.
Because I feel like family members are constantly always chiming in on what you should do, what you shouldn't do, and stuff like that. But yeah, maybe not with this family.
No foundation.
Overruled, there's a standing objection on that.
Standing objection. Yes or no?
Again, repeat.
He was constantly overstepping the boundaries she set. Agree or disagree?
Agree.
He would be frequently frustrated if his expectations were not met.
Agree.
He had a very strong emphasis on discipline.
With Jenny?
Sure.
Agree.
He had very high demands and would be very frustrated if his expectations were not met.
Disagree.
Okay. And to be clear, we're all talking about pre-ski collision, true?
Correct.
All right. That he was domineering to Jenny and your mother.
Disagree.
Okay, I'm going to split those because that was a compound question, we call it. So as to Jenny, was he domineering and emotionally and verbally abusive to her prior to the ski collision?
Disagree.
So she made that up. She's testified under oath. She made that up?
It's her experience. So
I want
you're
the
asking
truth.
my opinion, and I think you have her experience.
Is she lying? I mean,
Are you saying there's one truth?
Yeah, just a second.
on certain facts, there-
Counsel has
Sure.
an objection. What's the
Yeah,
objection?
Your Honor, I don't think he can ask if someone else is lying. He doesn't know that. It's an improper question.
This is her sister, Your Honor,
He
who's
can
just
ask
very
the
close
facts.
to it.
I'm dumb. I thought the dog was barking. There is a dog. There's a dog back there. You don't see it? There's a little corgi back there. You see a little nubby tail back there. So I just want to clarify. This is one of the sisters that's testifying. She's the middle child. Now, she's testifying. Her older sister's going to testify. However, for the defense, Gwyneth Paltrow's side, one of their biggest witness against these sisters is going to be the youngest sister, because the youngest sister is going to dispute almost everything that the two older sisters said about the dad. It seems like the two older sisters are going to say that, like, oh, dad was bright, smart, intelligent, friendly, nice, never yelled, never raised her voice, whatever. And it seems like the youngest daughter has a different experience of what the dad was like. And the youngest daughter is the one that said that, like, oh, you know, dad has been verbally abusive to me for the past 10 years before he was even in this accident with Gwyneth Paltrow, right? Dad was also verbally abusive to mom, who's divorced from dad right now. So unfortunately, though, it seems like the youngest sister was committed to testify, and then all of a sudden she's not testifying anymore. So he's trying to, you know, as someone who's doing the cross-examination, he's doing his best to try to weasel in the youngest sister's deposition as much as he can, because, you know, that's his job, right? He's gonna have to bring it up. She's not testifying, so he has to figure out, okay, how can I get the younger sister's deposition in, even though she's not testifying?
You can ask what the facts are. You know, the jury can make up its own mind, but he shouldn't be concluding for someone that's not here whether she's telling.
That's what he's insinuating. He's insinuating, did you guys get to the younger sister? Did you talk to her? Did you try to convince her not to come? And the middle sister's like, no, I honor her journey. I wouldn't have influenced her like that. But I don't know. For me, I'm just like, I don't know, man. Family members are always chiming in on shit. Like, if they really love their dad, I feel like they would have tried to get the younger sister to not testify, especially what she's saying now that, like, oh, the younger sister has like mental issues. I feel like they would definitely try to talk to the sister, you know, maybe try to reason her out of it or something like that.
The truth or not, that's a problem.
I mean, under certain circumstances, a lay witness can offer an opinion. I don't think I've heard enough foundation for that opinion so sustained.
So if Jenny says that your father was domineering, do you agree or disagree prior to the ski accident?
Disagree.
And if she so testifies, and we're going to read part of her transcript into the record, if she so testifies.
But, you know, I have seen this before where parents will treat siblings very differently. I don't know why, but I have seen it before. I've witnessed it before. I mean, that's my own personal experience, but, you know, I think it's possible that dad could have been, you know, maybe more nicer to older sister, middle sister, and maybe the younger sister. Maybe she was the trouble one, and maybe dad was more, you know, a little more aggressive towards her.
That is not true. He was not domineering. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying he was not domineering.
So if Jenny says he was,
That is her testimony.
and you would disbelieve it.
My testimony would say he was not domineering.
Would you
Her testimony is that he was.
Right. So they can both be true?
Objection argumentary.
Overruled.
So depending on people's mental capabilities and disabilities, sometimes we experience events differently.
Is it possible that, for instance, your dad wasn't domineering with you, but he was with Jenny?
I think it is possible. I wasn't home.
Sure.
I was in college for many of those years.
Your dad was verbally abusive to Jenny before the ski accident.
No, dad didn't pass away. So the ski accident incident happened in 2016. Lawsuit was filed in 2019, and now trial is happening right now. Dad is still alive and well. He's in his like 70s right now. But what he's claiming that, oh, I suffered, 4 broken ribs. I just suffered such a major concussion that after that incident, I haven't been the same. I've been really irritated. I feel like I'm not myself. I feel dumber. I feel like not how I used to be before. But defense is arguing, well, you're getting old, dude. What do you expect, right? And they're also arguing, well, we also had brain scans of you already having issues before that. So I don't know. This is like, even though this is not a criminal trial, this is like, it's pretty damn complex. I don't know. It's, to me, in my opinion, I think in order to even get to the concussion and stuff like that, we have to determine, okay, did Gwyneth Paltrow fuck up? Did she actually crash into him, or did he crash into her? But it seems like we haven't really even got a clear-cut answer on that. There was a GoPro video that was mentioned, but it's gone. We can either guess that maybe it was, maybe it's been deleted because maybe it showed what truly happened. Maybe this family's only in it for the money. Or, maybe this guy truly did suffer a really bad concussion. And, this was a long time ago. Maybe the GoPro video footage, whatever, was somehow lost. Yeah, I don't know. There's too much like what ifs, right? I feel like if I was on the jury right now, like I feel like I know they only had like a couple witnesses go up, but I feel like so far they haven't really proven that, oh, Gwyneth Paltrow smashed into this dude.
Agree or disagree?
Disagree.
Your dad was emotionally and verbally abusive to your mother before the ski accident. Agree or disagree?
I think he could have done better, but I wouldn't call it domineering and abusive, no.
Have you known your dad to go up and, are you aware that he went up and just punched a guy once?
I was not aware of that.
You've never heard that your dad punched your mother's, you've never heard that?
No, sir.
That your dad believed your mother was having an affair and went and punched the guy out? You don't know this?
I don't know that.
Okay. It's probably a good time to break. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay, who do I believe so far? There's just not enough to show either way. I just think that they just don't have enough proof that it's her fault and she smashed into him. Yeah.
For your forgiveness. You love your dad, fair?
True.
You love your mom?
True.
You love your sister, both sisters?
Absolutely.
Your dad was a texter, is that true? Even pre-injury?
Yes.
Yeah. And a poster, like Facebook?
Yeah, he's always been very tech savvy.
Your Honor, I'd like to address Defense Exhibit 111, page 2. I think you have your binder.
Objection. Objection.
Okay. Defense Exhibit 1, what is it?
111, page 2.
111, page 2 is received.
And could you bring that up? Peter, could you know what that
Yeah,
means?
check this goes to that page, not the whole exhibit.
True.
Page 2.
All right. Oh, you do have a defense binder.
Like, it's possible that they could all be in on this, on the money, and be really malicious about it. But I don't know. I guess maybe I just don't really see that until there's evidence that shows that, like, oh, this is a family that sued people over and over before, try to get money out of it. They'll do whatever it takes to get $3 million. Like, so far, I think she generally believes that the dad, did suffer a concussion, that his personality changed. I think he believes something happened to him. And that maybe, we don't know whether or not it's old age or whether it was really bad concussion. Like, I think he generally believes that, like, something happened to him. And then he got really obsessed with this case because he just wanted to, just wanted to prove that it's not just him that's just, it's not just his brain that's deteriorating. It's something that happened to him that caused this. And now he has a lower quality of life. And I think it's also possible that Gwyneth Paltrow believes that she remembers everything and she thinks that he was the one that smashed into her, which is why she was kind of like huffing and puffing about it and she was agitated. Like, I don't know. It's just, I could totally see everyone's side of the story. I don't think we have like too much concrete evidence yet that shows that, like, oh my God, these guys are just in it for the money, or Gwyneth Paltrow is a POS and she totally crashed into him. And, she just doesn't want to pay up and she just wants to do this for a publicity stunt to promote Goop or whatever. Like, I don't know. I could see both sides of the story. I'm just waiting on like concrete stuff.
Now, it's not going to be in there unless you countermark it. Do you have the defense witness binder? And while we're doing that, could you step down and take a look at this? And James, could you bring this up big?
What are you talking about? Game over, Jesse. I'm so confused. Paltrow's lawyers reminds me of the crooked lawyers that defend clients they know aren't guilty. I feel like she's pretty invasive and protective of her family. Hey, Misha.
So that we can actually read the bottom of this. Do you recognize this by chance?
It looks vaguely familiar. Her
That
smile
Jenny?
stands out to me.
So do you recall that your dad, after being brought down on the toboggan, texted out a picture of the toboggan person?
Whitney kept me entertained while probing with question to evaluate my senses. A dedicated outdoor person and horse lover from Michigan. She also took me down in the toboggan by herself and won the DV Women's Downhill Race Contest. A sweetheart. What is this, like a Facebook? Oh, via Meetup for Android. Okay.
Does this ring any bells? Yes.
I think it's likely. I think he was grateful for her service.
Okay, you nodded yes, but
Yeah.
to get it audibly. Perfect, thank you. All right, so I'm going to read this. Whitney kept me entertained while probing me with questions to evaluate my senses. A dedicated outdoor person and horse lover from Michigan. She also took me down in the toboggan by herself and won the...
So I'm assuming he's just bringing this up because he wants to show that, like, oh, after the accident, it seems like he was cohesive enough in order, to write something like this. But I don't know. I don't know much about brain injuries and stuff, but like, couldn't it actually like, you know, like car injuries when you're like hit by a car, you might not feel the pain right afterwards. You might get like, you know, like subsequent pain. So maybe with like concussions as well, maybe initially you're not like, maybe you're dizzy and dazed, but maybe you're still able to be coherent and write things. But maybe it's later on you realize that there's actually like after effects of it. Right?
DV, Deer Valley, I assume, women's downhill race contest, a sweetheart, exclamation point. Okay, you can sit down, that's okay. And can we go back down? I'm just gonna hand you this, may I approach this?
Yeah, we need to talk more about this GoPro footage. Are you the daughter that got the GoPro footage, or was it Jenny? Who got the GoPro footage? What was on it?
So do you recall seeing this?
Like I said, it seems familiar. Like her smile stands out as maybe something I've seen before. What's included down below sounds like my dad's eternal optimism and positivity.
Pretty articulate, would you say, just within an hour of his accident?
He's an articulate human.
And quite praising, and the toboggan person is smiley, right? True?
Yeah, I think he was grateful.
Okay. Now let's go to Defense 102. So in that binder, they're individually numbered. May I approach? I'll help you. And you can look up there if you wish, or you can look at the one right in front of you. Is that your email, though?
That is my email.
All right. And is that your sisters, Jenny and Shay's emails?
Correct.
All right. Do you recall getting this email on the evening of the...
Okay, we're talking about the GoPro footage. Tell us more. Okay, so this is what Terry Sanderson writes. Here's what happened from my friend and eyewitness. And again, this friend and eyewitness was on the stand on day one, and he didn't have anything to comment about this GoPro video thing. So I don't know. That part was a little weird to me.
Incident.
I do.
And it's genuine. It's real. Your dad created this.
Oh, it is? That's the dad behind the lawyer with the folder? Really? I saw a picture of him. He has like really dark, like black hair. Let me take a look again. I didn't recognize, huh? Oh, wait, sorry. My bad.
I think you help me. Did you get a call from your dad on this day about the incident before this email? If the incident was about right before lunch, and this is 8 p.m. on February 26, 2016, remind me, did you get a call before then, or was this your first notice?
I don't recall precisely. In my memory, I think I received a phone call first and then received an email.
From your... Oh, yes, you testified, and you weren't sure whether it was from your dad or from...
Shay.
Okay,
Green.
gotcha. All right, so your dad said, here's what happened from my friend, an eyewitness, and then something's attached. Do you believe you clicked on this?
I'm sure I did.
Okay, and do you recall what it was?
There's been a lot of speculation trying to figure out what that was. The fact that it's a meetup link, it tells me probably something from the day that he was skiing, he had gone with a meetup group.
Let me interrupt, because all I'm asking is, do you recall what it was?
Yeah, wait, why? Come on. I feel like you would remember what was in it.
If you clicked on this.
I do not recall precisely.
Okay. And
You don't recall God, I don't know if I believe
I
this.
think I wasn't able to access information.
well, that's a different comment. That's you think you clicked on it and nothing came up?
Correct, that's what I think.
Did you say that in
What?
your deposition anywhere?
I don't believe I was.
Improper use of a deposition.
Overruled.
We asked you about 100 questions about this email. Do you remember?
Yeah, of course they're going to ask because this is possibly a GoPro footage. What happened?
I've been asked about this email a lot.
And you
I don't
never once-
recall
Did you?
what it was. It almost felt like, in my memory, potentially a dead end.
So listen to my question, though.
Yes.
We asked you 100 questions about this in your email, in your
Right.
deposition. You were under oath, correct?
Yes.
You understood that?
Yes.
And the court reporter was taking down every word?
Yes.
And then you had an opportunity to review your transcript for accuracy?
I wasn't aware that I could, but yes, I did review it.
And did you make a correction? Like, actually, I tried to click on it, and nothing came up. Did you ever do that?
It's just a vague recollection. No, I do not believe.
Yeah. So, okay, the opportunity to make a correction, if what you said in your deposition. The reason we take depositions, you understand, is so years later people don't come up with new memories. Do you understand that?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Things were getting a little bit sussy when the video footage is being brought up. It got a little bit weird with the friend that was on the stand, too. It's like, you don't remember this? You have nothing to say about this?
Okay.
I do not recall what this link was.
Thank
You don't
Okay, let's
recall?
go to the top half.
Who's the one that responded to this email?
Do you recall responding to this link in any way?
Oh, she's the one that responded. I feel like you you would remember. Your dad gets involved in a crash with a very famous person. I feel like you would remember. And she was the one that responded to the email saying, wow, Dad, I can't believe you caught all that on the GoPro or something. Oh, no. Oh, I was believing her. Now I'm having a lot of doubts. Maybe I'm just, okay, let me listen to her.
I don't believe I responded to the email.
James, I apologize. I have one more question on the bottom.
Oh, okay. She didn't respond. Okay, sorry. Shay responded. Okay, we'll hear from Shay, I think, later on, I guess. Dad, I cannot believe how unlucky and how crazy this all is. I can't believe this is all on GoPro. What are the chances? I'm so glad you're okay. How are you feeling this evening?
Bottom half. Your dad wrote, I'm famous. Do you know why he said that?
I think it matches his personality, a little bit of making light of a serious situation.
I can see that, yeah.
In his deposition, he said, I thought it was cool that I had had a collision with a celebrity.
Yeah, I can see
Do you
that.
have any reason to dispute that?
I object. This is improper use of
I
deposition.
think that's a big deal.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
I have not read his deposition.
My question was, do you have any reason to dispute your dad's statement that he thought it was cool that he had had an accident with a celebrity?
Your Honor, I think if you're going to do this, you should show in the deposition because there's more to it than that.
Yeah, it's hard out of context.
Yeah, just a second. When there's an objection, I need to.
The objection was overruled.
There was a second objection.
This was just...
Yeah, I'll take it back. I'll be a little bit more forgiving because she wasn't the sister that responded. But I don't know, man. I feel like if I heard that my mom got into like a crash with like Tony Stark or something, I'd be like, what? Let me see the video. Oh my God. Like if the video didn't open the first time, I would keep trying to open it. And then we'll probably share it next time we all meet up or something. I'd be like, oh my God, like what the hell? That's crazy.
Do you have any reason to
I need to
dispute
rule
that?
on the second
Right.
objection.
And I don't really get starstruck. I just think it's, I would just have thought it was interesting, you know?
Which is overruled. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Sorry. All right. Do you have any reason to dispute your dad's statement that he thought it was cool that he'd been in an accident with a celebrity?
I do not think it was cool. I cannot dispute whether or not my father thought it was cool.
Perfect. Okay. Now, nowhere on this does it say I'm hurt. True?
Correct.
And this link is important. Would you agree to know what was going on within hours of the accident?
Yes.
And we've asked for this link. Do you know where it is?
I do not.
Or what was posted? Have you ever seen it?
I can't answer yes or no. I'm sure I clicked the link. That would have been
You don't
the logical
remember?
thing.
And do you remember what it was?
No.
Okay.
Don't
Now we can go
remember?
to the top half. Your sister Shay has responded. This was her genuine response. Do you see it's about an hour and a half later, 9:32 on the date of the event? Do you see that?
Yes.
All right. Dad, I cannot believe how unlucky and how crazy this all is. I also can't believe this is all on GoPro. What are the chances? I'm so glad you're okay. How are you feeling this evening? All right. I cannot believe how unlucky and how crazy this all is. Do you remember receiving Shay's reply?
Yes.
And actually, as I look at that was not a trick question, but I can see you are actually not on this reply. Do you see your name isn't copied to all?
I maybe I've read that somewhere then because it looks familiar to me.
And I just realized it just now. Okay. By the way, your sister, just weeks earlier,
And the sisters are close to each other. There's no way they didn't talk to each other. She said she's close with the older sister. She's close with the younger sister.
had injured herself skiing. Is that true?
Correct.
Like 3 weeks earlier, she blew out her knee.
Tore an ACL and an MCL.
Those are
Ooh.
knee issues, right?
Correct.
All right.
Oof.
What are the chances? Is that referencing that? Like the fact they have both gotten into ski collisions, or do you know?
I take it that way. I think it was like it's February. We're both hurt.
We're both unlucky.
Possibly.
Okay. I'm so glad you're okay. All right. Shay hasn't testified yet. But was it your understanding that on the evening of the accident, your dad was okay?
I think she meant that, he came out of it. I think it's her way of saying,
So let me ask you this question because it's pointed toward you.
okay,
Was it your understanding the evening of the accident that your dad was okay?
yeah, that not fatal. He was going to be mendable. Maybe some rehab.
Well, that's a lot to say. Basically, are you okay, Dad? Did you ask him that day on the phone?
I'm sure I said, I'm glad you're down from the mountain. I'm glad you're here with us. I'm glad you're okay.
You believe you talked to him, right?
I believe I did.
Yeah, and
that's
isn't
what it feels like. But
And your first question is, are you okay? Right? Isn't that?
how are you doing, right?
Yes.
If somebody, I think for anyone that had gone through a big accident, it's that checking in with them.
And fair to say, you don't recall him saying anything other than he was okay?
I think, as I mentioned, he said, I'm hurting. I have some broken ribs.
So you actually do remember the response?
This is my recollection. Maybe it's my sister saying, you think he's okay? He's got some broken ribs.
Now, the I'm famous, that that refers to my client, right? He's famous
think-
because he collided with a celebrity, right?
That's how I take that.
So he knew who she was by 8 p.m. that night.
That looks right.
And do you have any idea where this link went? The link of the most important piece of evidence that could be presented at trial today?
It looks like it's somewhere out there in the cyber sphere.
Yeah, I don't know that it just doesn't look good.
Okay.
She's saying she doesn't remember.
Do you agree that your dad liked to be in the spotlight?
I agree.
This was pre-collision, right?
Yeah, he's big energy.
Now, I'm thinking back when my mom was 76. Did you notice things? This is pre-collision, so let's just say in the year before that. Dad's starting to get older. Did you think to yourself about that?
I never felt like my dad was getting older or that I had noticed something like that.
So when he's 68 years old, never considered like he's starting to get older?
I mean, by numbers, yes. And I have lots of people in my family that I've watched age. You know, my mother, my grandmother, my father and mother-in-law. I know what that's like. You know, my mom that can't remember the name of that author. But when there's a marked change in somebody's cognition, memory, and just functioning, it's more of a switch type feeling. It didn't feel gradual.
Do you remember the fact that your dad had a stroke contributed? First of all, did your dad have a stroke before the ski incident?
I'm not aware of a stroke. I know he had an occlusion with the loss of visibility in his eye. I think it's like a restricted blood vessel.
Do you recall in your deposition saying he had a stroke?
I think you called it a stroke in the eye, meaning
Did you call it a stroke?
if I did, I misspoke
What's a stroke in the eye?
and I should have had an opportunity to correct that.
Well, you did have an opportunity.
I wasn't aware of that.
So I'll dig it out if we have to. Let's keep going. Your dad had an event where the oxygen in his eye, in his right eye, was essentially turned off, and he lost his right eye. Is that fair?
He lost some vision in his right eye, and you know, what are the odds for somebody that's spent a lifetime committed to eye health, right?
There's a reference to he's an optometrist and he's not a medical physician, true?
He's an optometric physician, an optometrist.
So here's my question. Is he a medical
Physician, an MD.
No.
No. Okay, so now let's go through. A few statements here.
Is the dad going to testify? Or maybe he'll be like the last witness that testifies.
I'll tell you what, I think this will be the most efficient way. A couple weeks before the ski collision, your dad went to a doctor, and he said he thinks all of a sudden he's gotten old all of a sudden. Did he ever express those sentiments to you?
No.
And it sounds like you never went to the doctor with him. Is that fair?
I did take him to appointments. I didn't sit in the room with his primary care provider and himself.
Pre-collision, did you take him to any doctor appointments?
No, not that I can recall.
Right. Okay, so, and you said, like, your dad wouldn't have told me that. For instance, of his depression, he wouldn't have told me. And is that just a little, like, a sense of pride? I'm not going to share mental health information with my daughter?
I think it's more of his role as a parent. I've been involved in mental health care, and so we talk openly about mental health challenges. I think he has a little bit of, you know, I'm the parent, and I don't want to worry you. I don't want to bother you.
So what my question was that like a sense of pride? I'm not going to share my mental health information with my daughter. Do you believe that or not?
Mr. Owens, I don't know that I would choose the word pride. I think I would say he didn't want to burden me as his daughter.
All right. So there's possible that he was doing mental health issues on the side without telling you. Fair?
I have not reviewed his medical records, so that is fair.
Okay. By the way, how long had you been out of the house in the time of the ski collision? So, like, had you been married?
At the ski collision?
Yeah. When did you move out of the house? After high school or after? Or?
Yeah, so I left in 1992.
Okay, and we're in 16. 8 plus 16 is 24. You've been out of the house 24 years?
That's correct.
Okay. And you would see your dad, maybe, let's say in the 3 months prior to the ski collision, do you agree you didn't call or see your dad once?
That was very surprising information to me after your team had pulled the phone records.
Is that true?
I have no reason to believe it's not true.
And you would see him, did you see him about the same before the ski collision and after the ski collision, like 2 to 4 times a year?
He said it's been a little harder, especially with COVID. I don't feel like I've seen him as much.
Gotcha.
And part of it is, you know, I still had kids at home, so it was easier to say, oh, we're going to come through on summer vacation. And
I'm with you.
yeah.
Okay. By the way, COVID was hard. Did your dad get COVID like twice in 6 months?
He did get COVID, I believe, more than once.
In like not too far, not like 1 month, but like 6 months or something. Does this sound right?
That does sound correct.
And that's extremely hard on him, just that. True?
COVID was hard on all of us, yeah.
But in terms of some of the feelings of isolation, for instance, that's exacerbated by COVID. Fair?
Yeah.
All right. In addition to your dad's eye problem on the right, do you agree that he also was severely impaired on the left eye?
I would not agree with that.
All right. Let me get rid of the word severely. Do you recall him being impaired on the left eye prior to the ski collision?
Prior, no, I'm not aware of that.
Do you recall him ever walking into walls?
No, prior.
Correct. One of your sisters mentioned that. Do you know anything about that?
I have not experienced that, no.
That he would ask people standing on the right side of him if they would move so he could see them. Did you observe that ever?
Yeah, typically when we're walking, we would, yeah.
Okay. And just to be technical, so yeah doesn't work very
Yes.
well on the record. So there we go. Thanks.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you agree one of the reasons he retired was the stroke event that had left him deprived of oxygen in his vision?
I do not agree with that.
Okay. If you're
Because the plaintiff's opening statement, if I remember correctly, I don't think they ever mentioned that Terry said that Gwen was the one that ran into her. It seems like he didn't know what happened. So, I don't know.
your dad so testified in his own deposition.
Then I would go with my dad's. I have not read his deposition.
Thank you. Do you agree that he adjusted his skiing to the right side of the slope because of his vision issues?
I think that was typical. He would, yeah.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
And he had to be picky about which days he skied. Like if it was a snowy day with limited visibility, he wouldn't go because of his vision. Do you agree or disagree?
I don't know that. I think because he was retired, he would choose his ski days based on when it would feel the best day to ski.
So I'm just going to tweak my question a little bit. Did you know that he would adjust his skiing days based on visibility for that day?
I did not know that.
Okay. Let's talk about the prostate cancer. Do you know the severity? I guess they rate prostate cancers Gleason 6, 7, 8, or 9. Have you heard of this? 6, 7, 8, 9.
I think
10.
they were monitoring his numbers for a long time.
And 10 out of 10 is the worst. Are you familiar with the Gleason scale for prostate cancer?
I am not,
Okay.
other than that there is a scale, so.
And do you know if your dad was a 7, for instance? Not the least, but not the most?
I do not know. I have not reviewed my dad's medical records.
And separate then from the Gleason scale.
Hi,
or his
Queen.
records, just did you understand, like, this isn't just the most minimal cancer. It actually had become malignant?
I knew they were monitoring.
Also, like, if they said that the GoPro footage disappeared or was deleted somehow or was lost somehow because, like, maybe the laptop, maybe a hard drive or something was corrupt or something, like, I could believe that. But the fact that, like, so far 2 key witnesses don't remember it or don't remember what was on it, that's weird to me.
Monitoring his numbers, so that makes sense that when they decided to operate, it was because the number had justified that decision.
Thank you. And I'm just going to restate my question. Were you aware his cancer had become malignant?
Yes.
Okay. And do you recall how many years prior to the ski incident that cancer was?
I really do not recall. I would say
What I want to know is how long did it take for the defense to discover, like, to finally get a hold of these emails and to realize that, like, wait a second, one of these emails say that something about a GoPro footage. I wonder when they found that out.
surgery, if I guess, 2008.
One of the things they cut off was his testosterone. Do you remember that?
Yes.
And as a result, he became, in the record, quite emotional. Do you agree?
Right? You would have that video on a backup, backup. Like, if he already had suspects, like, if he was already, he already had suspects that he had a concussion and that things were, quickly deteriorating for him. Like, I don't know. You would, like, have that hard drive, back it up, put it on Google Drive or something.
Objection, Your Honor, relevance.
But I guess
We're
things
dealing with his
happen. Shit
emotions overruled.
happens.
Thank you. Do you recall
lose
him
things
becoming
sometimes.
quite emotional?
I did not experience that. More so after the accident. Much more notable.
Thanks. Let's stay pre-accident. For a while.
Pre-accident, I never experienced the increase in emotion.
All right. By the way, after the accident, how long was it until you went and visited your father?
That's a great question. I think he was at my place end of May. I would imagine that summer at some point.
Okay, so the ski collision was in end of February.
Mm-hmm.
And so are you saying like 3 months?
He was at my house end of May, so I saw him again 3 months.
Okay, that was the first time you saw him after.
Yeah. Typically, when we would come down, it would be like in July, so we would probably have seen him then. I can't review for certain.
Do you recall there being a motion regarding the prostate? So I'm sort of prostate cancer. So I'm separating the testosterone issue. I mean, that's a big deal, isn't it?
It is a big deal. I think he was scared. I think his father had similar issues, so he had kind of he had lived
Hi,
that
Jan.
experience, so he was concerned about it.
How old, by the way, was your dad's mom and dad? When are they both deceased?
They are.
And at what ages? Do you know?
It's a good question. I think they passed away in 2002, 2004. I would say maybe in their 80s,
70s.
perhaps 70s. Yeah.
And what your dad's dad pass away from? Was it prostate?
I think it was complications with prostate cancer.
And your dad's mom, what did she pass away from?
She had broken a hip and then ended up getting pneumonia.
Let's talk about your dad's hearing for a minute. So your dad, about how many years ago did he start wearing hearing aids?
So my first memory of my dad with hearing aids, my younger sister was kind of an infant. And so, because I remember she would make noises and he'd kind of like, whoa, that's loud. So I think he...
Like 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
Ago?
Yeah.
40 years ago.
40 years ago, he's been wearing hearing aids.
Yeah.
And do you agree one side is worse than the other, or do you know?
I don't know that. I think technology's advanced. Hearing aids today are much better than they were 4 years ago.
And as far as severity of his hearing loss just prior to the ski incident, do you know? Can you quantify that at all?
So there are times, say, in the morning when we're brewing coffee and he doesn't have his hearing aids in.
Okay, let's
Right.
talk about when his hearing aids were in prior to the accident. Do you agree he still had some impairment?
Minimal, but yes.
He had to actually read lips. Do you agree?
I think he's a people person, so he really does read lips and read people.
So pre-ski incident, even with his hearing aids, he read lips. Do you agree?
I think he does, not because he wasn't hearing, though.
Do you agree that part of his hearing impairment, even with hearing aids, was he couldn't hear high voices, higher frequencies, like a woman's voice? Do you know that?
I don't know that for certain, but I know that hearing loss happens in ranges, so that would make sense.
Okay. So we've talked about his eyes, his ears, his cancer. Let's talk about his heart. Do you recall that prior to the ski accident, your dad had some heart palpitation issues?
I was not aware of that.
Okay. Did you see any effects of aging in your dad prior to the ski accident? Any at all?
I think his hair was getting a little more gray.
Okay. Anything else?
Oh, he seems really pretty on target.
So perfect health prior to the ski collision?
I wouldn't use the word perfect, but I think for someone who was 69, he really worked at being healthy, took his supplements, made sure he exercised. He's a swimmer. He just works hard at it.
He still swims, doesn't he?
I believe so.
Still goes to yoga.
He sure tries. He's dedicated to his health.
Post ski collision, he went on like 10 international trips. Does this sound right?
I don't know if 10 is the number. He traveled quite a bit. I think he had a I've retired, I'm supposed to do this kind of thing.
And did he ever do like international travel pre-ski incident?
Did he do some of those?
Yeah.
And did he ever go alone?
Usually he traveled with a friend.
No one goes to Europe alone, do they?
I mean, it's good to have good company.
As part of the stroke workup, your dad had a lot of imaging done of his brain. Do you know anything about that?
No, I do not.
Do you know, for instance, if he was diagnosed with microvascular disease prior to the ski collision?
I do not.
How about moderate diffuse volume loss atrophy?
I do not.
All right. Do you know enough to talk about the fact that as we age, our brains...
Yeah, because I'm wondering if we weren't giving them benefit of the doubt, and let's say, like the best benefit of the doubt, let's say if, I don't know, that because let's say that they knew the GoPro thing existed, but they didn't think it was going to come up because here's what I'm thinking. Why not just say, oh, I do remember what was on the GoPro. It's my dad getting crashed into and smashed into the snow, right? Why wouldn't they just say that? But I wonder if they didn't think the GoPro thing, the email, was going to be discovered. And that's why they didn't mention it at all. Because it might look more sus that the GoPro footage went missing, and it'd be better just not bring it up, right? Because my thing is, why not just be like, oh, yeah, I know what's on the GoPro. It's, my dad getting smashed into the snow. But it's possible that maybe they didn't think that they would be able to find those emails or something. I don't know. But if you want to give it the benefit of the doubt, it could just be like she could just genuinely not remember what was on the GoPro, and it somehow just got destroyed on a hard drive. Maybe they had a flood. It was on the family computer or something. I don't know. It does just sound really sus.
Volume decreases.
I'm aware of that.
Do you recall that he was diagnosed with a plaque problem as a result of the retinal eye occlusion?
I did not.
Okay. Did you know he was, for instance, prior to the ski collision, on an anti-cholesterol, anti-statin, I should say statin, of some sort of cholesterol plaque reduction medication?
I did not know it.
All
Wouldn't
right.
surprise me, though.
And if he was on like 7 to 9 medications just prior to the ski incident, I take it you don't know what any of those are.
I knew he took some medications along with his supplements. Like I said, he listens to doctor's orders. He would take what was prescribed to him.
Let's talk about supplements. Your dad loves supplements. Is that true?
I would say, yeah.
Like 40 a day, even before the ski collision.
I don't know the number.
He so testified in his deposition.
I think she's about to answer that. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I just said I do not know the number of
Jesus,
supplements he
40
takes.
Is it
supplements?
like a whole glass full every day?
Objection, foundation.
If you know.
I have not watched my dad take his vitamins.
What's
like a
your,
waste of
what do
money.
you know? Like how many supplements a day does he take?
So we'll talk things. Like we were just talking about vitamin D, and I had said, I know it's better absorbed with vitamin K. And he said he did take a vitamin D. And I said, oh, you might want to look and see if there's K in it.
How about number?
I know he takes vitamin D. I don't know the number.
Would it surprise you that he said 40?
Objection, foundation.
Overruled.
Go ahead.
It would surprise me a little bit, yeah. I know he takes supplements.
You didn't. How about therapy so mental health therapy pre-collision? Were you aware your dad had undergone counseling for anger and other problems?
I was not aware that he saw a counselor for anger issues. I do know that he has seen a counselor for mental health.
So pre-collision, he's easy to anger. Do you recall that? VA 1131, Defense 113C. He's easy to anger. That's why he's going to see a therapist. Does this ring a bell prior to the collision?
Do I recall that? I have not read his medical records.
Angry, discussing family conflict. Do you recall this? This was back in 2009. So the collision was 2016, so 7 years earlier. Was he going through a divorce right around then, 09?
I don't think it was a divorce, but I think, did he split with his girlfriend in 08? So possibly.
Was his girlfriend, issue. The patient desires to feel justified in his anger. Does this ring any bells, 09?
I didn't witness anger, no. Or he didn't display it. Maybe he had a self-awareness.
What do you know about like his breakup with his girlfriend in 09 in terms of emotions? Because we're talking a lot about emotions in this trial.
Yeah. Well, I know it was after his cancer treatment, so the year following. So I think he probably needed a lot of support and healing, and I don't think he felt like he got that from his current partner.
Okay, so he had an unsuccessful relationship with a woman prior to the ski collision.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just possible that, you know, adults just don't share as much with their kids, right? Their kids think they know everything about their parents and stuff like that. But there are things about your parents that, you know, they don't share with their kids. So, you know, I do see this perspective like where she's like, oh, yeah, I know my dad very well and all that stuff. But then like, you know, maybe like all the medical details, like all the other stuff, like the dad's not going to share with his daughter, right?
Wasn't true.
That's true. He was working on that.
And he went through 2 divorces, true.
That's true too,
And not remarried, right?
to my understanding.
And how many years went by between like the second marriage came right after the first divorce, true?
That's correct.
And then how many years went by after the second divorce and before the ski collision?
Let me check my math here. I would say maybe 10 years.
All right. So, did he have any like life partners during those 10 years? We're talking about his relationships, for instance, in this trial. He's had a hard time like having long-term relationships after. And I'm just saying, for those 10 years prior, did he have long-term relationships?
By long term, I can't think of.
How many of us know all the vitamins our parents take? I don't. I don't know what the heck my mom is taking. She came over, she brought her like weird stuff, and I was like, okay, cool. You know, I know she drinks a lot of coffee though. That's what I discovered last Christmas.
Sustainable. You had mentioned the one that had split in 2009, and I'm not sure how long they were together, maybe 2 or 3 years.
By the way, I don't know if we formally admitted D-113, but I would like to do so.
Any objection?
Don't know what it is yet.
We talked about it yesterday. Peter, do you mind?
What do you show, Jody?
No, it's an add-on yesterday. I'll keep going. But, well, would you prefer I keep going, Judge, or we deal with it right here?
It's your choice if you want to get it admitted now, or are you going to use the exhibit with this witness?
I don't know, but I do want it in the record because I'm referring to it.
Why don't we wait? We can handle it over the break, maybe, unless you need this witness or need to ask this witness about it.
I guess I will. So move for D113F, which are VA, or excuse me, D113, which are VA, stipulated VA records. Agreed or disagreed here?
Objection to the VA records. No objection.
Okay, defendant 113 is received.
These records indicate that your dad
had difficulty, the patient mentioned difficulty with anger management. Did you ever know your dad to have an anger management problem prior to the ski collision?
I'm sorry, Your Honor, what page is that?
113F.
What VA page is it?
Thank you. 1134. Second paragraph. So my question again,
Did you ever know your dad to have difficulty with anger?
Sorry, just a second, Your Honor. I'm on 113. I don't see anything here.
Why don't you show counsel?
113.
I gave them a hard copy too.
He struggles with self-disclosure that is self-focused rather than other-focused. Did you see that in your dad pre-ski collision? He's focused on himself rather than others?
I think he does have that tendency, or he did prior to the accident. It's after the accident, it's been magnified for sure.
Okay, so the answer is yes.
Yes, and more so after the accident.
The focus of this session was to help him identify his responses and the associated feelings and communicate those in less blaming ways. Did you know him to blame others frequently pre-ski collision?
No, I think it's just great that he was trying to get tools. Yeah.
Well, he's getting tools because he has a problem with communicating with others that doesn't blame them. Did you observe that prior to the ski collision?
I don't think any humans are perfect, and he's acknowledging these are things I'm working on. That's how I understand that.
Okay, so I am trying to phrase these in yes or no, but I'm not going to cut you off. So I'm going to ask it again, though. Prior to the ski collision, did you observe that your dad had problems communicating with others because he would blame them? Yes or no?
No, I did not observe him blaming others. Yes. Yeah. I'll go with no.
Did you observe, now in 113H, that his interaction style and way of dealing with people often got him in trouble?
Pre-accident?
Pre-accident.
No.
And he would like to gain greater insight into his interpersonal difficulties. Did you observe your dad pre-accident to have some interpersonal difficulties?
Yes, I think something to work on.
But most people don't go 13 years without talking to your sibling, right? That's more than just
I don't
most.
believe that to be true in my experience.
So we're talking. It's true everyone has interpersonal communication difficulties, but not everyone goes to their therapist for it. Do you agree?
I agree, but the smart ones do.
Patient had a number of recent
She's
stressors
over
which he
it.
appeared to minimize. Okay, did you ever know your dad to minimize other stressors and focus on something sort of obsessively?
Not pre-accident, post-accident, yes.
Okay, how about that he would hyper-focus on a problem without dealing with broader issues that were affecting that?
I would say he does have a tendency to hyper-focus.
And that was pre-collision, right?
Yes, way more so after the accident.
Did his eyesight problem, hearing problem, heart issues, prostate cancer, did those somewhat narrow his abilities, his activity level?
I really didn't see that change or modify a lot. I think not until after the accident.
How about at all? Just like the 5 years before the accident?
Any reduction in activities at all?
Right. I think I would see my dad, make some adjustments. Like he would learn because he's not reckless. So
Is that a yes or no? Reduction in activity level prior to the ski collision?
yes, very, very minimal.
And one of the things he told his doctor 3 weeks before the ski collision was he was not able to do the things he had been able to do. Does that surprise you?
Very much so.
Okay. You don't dispute the medical record 3 weeks before the ski collision, do you?
I would have a hard time disputing his records.
Migraines. He would have migraines pre ski collision, right?
Occasionally.
And they were debilitating when he got them. True.
Correct.
And he would actually have vision problem associated with his migraines. When he had migraines, he actually had even less vision. Do you agree?
I know he would typically look for a dark place, to just recover from that.
So your answer?
He was sensitive to light, and that would be visual.
Okay. Now let's talk about his back and spine problems pre-collision. He had a foot drop, didn't he? He walked differently pre-collision?
I wasn't aware of a foot drop or a different walk.
Do you know what a foot drop is?
Vaguely.
Yeah, what's a foot drop?
You have to more drag one of your feet. Is that fair?
Okay, I didn't notice that in my dad.
You never knew of one?
No.
Okay. How about weakness or pain, loss of sensation?
Not aware of that.
How about he did have spine surgery? Do you agree?
I think he was it a compressed disc or something?
Right.
That's not small time medicine, right? Spine surgery is a big deal.
I would say yes.
Knee injury. Oddly, is this true? Before the ski collision, he actually injured his knee skiing. Does this sound familiar?
I vaguely remember meniscus, maybe.
Skiing. Yes?
There's inherent
What,
risks in
Mimi?
skiing, knees being one of them.
So the answer?
Yes.
Did that require surgery? Do you recall?
I don't believe it did.
Shoulder problems. Do you recall having pre-ski collision shoulder problems?
I think he did have a shoulder issue.
And what do you recall about it?
Not very much.
Hamstring injury, a torn hamstring. Do you recall this pre-injury?
I do not.
Osteoarthritis. Are you familiar with that term?
Yes, I know what that is.
And were you aware your father had osteoarthritis prior to the ski
No.
injury?
Jesus, I kind of feel bad for this guy. He's got a lot of things going on. Is this normal stuff for old people? Oh, God.
Trigger finger. Do you know what that is?
Yes, I do know that his thumb. He had issues with his thumb.
By the way, do you recall one of the reasons he has hearing problems is from shooting a lot of guns without ear protection?
In the military.
Have you heard this before, or am I the first to tell you?
Could have also been concerts, but I do know that he was in the
Yeah, if you guys go to concerts, wear some ear protection. Please wear them earplugs. You go to like the festivals, concerts, anywhere that's loud, wear the earplugs.
military, so possibly.
All right. When he was young, he was a rocker. Is that fair?
If rocker, you mean like the Kingston Trio? Yeah, he was a rocker.
I think he told me he was a rocker in his youth. Do you know anything about that?
Well, you know, he's in college like in the 68, so we're talking
All right.
Peter, Paul, and Mary, Kingston Trio. Real rocker.
Still good music.
Yeah.
All right. Insomnia. Did you know him to have sleeping problems prior to the ski collision?
Really, Alma? Oh my gosh, how did that happen?
I knew that sleep was kind of a challenge for him. That's something that he shares with my older sister, Shay. And so they would talk about different techniques for getting a good night's sleep.
So did he have insomnia issues pre-collision?
I don't know if I would call it insomnia. You want to read me a definition for insomnia?
Sure. Taking a medication for it.
Oh.
Did you know that one of the medications he took, like lorazepam or Ativan or trazodone, I think he took all three of those at one time. Not at one time. I apologize. Throughout the years before. So that's how I would define it, requiring prescription medication.
Okay, so I would defer to my dad's medical record.
All right. Respiratory problems. Were you aware your dad had respiratory problems pre-collision?
I knew that he kept an inhaler, that he'd had had pneumonia at some point, and so we felt like, yeah, I don't ever see him using the inhaler.
Oh, Gwendolyn, I do want to bring up, I'm listening to this at 1.5 speed. So maybe it looks like she's blinking a lot more or a lot faster.
But I knew he hadn't.
I don't know, that's just his normal speed.
Your Honor, I object doing this, going through the medical history of a 60-year-old person now for
What's 5 minutes? It's irrelevant. And there has to be some.
You should have objected a long time ago. We're already like done. We're almost done with the medical records, aren't we? Unless this guy's got more.
End to this. Okay. We only have 4 more days.
Yeah, overruled.
All right.
Each side's getting half time, so it's not affecting
Used to restore old furniture. Oh, that's so cool. My dining table and my set, it's all restored furniture. That's so cool. I wish I could do that.
your time, Mr. Sykes.
All right, we'll speed it back up.
Lower urinary tract issues. Perhaps those are prostate related. Do you know of anything about
Not
that?
aware of any of those.
Kidney problems. Do you recall he had some kidney problems pre-collision?
I do not recall that.
Like that he had chronic renal insufficiency? You've never heard that before?
No.
Cholesterol medication, what'd you tell me? You knew he was on a med for that, or you did
I
not?
didn't know he was on a medication for that, but that's pretty common for that age group, right?
And
Yeah,
restless
cholesterol
legs,
medication,
were you
I see
familiar
that.
He had that. That was a
I think that's the only thing I know. I think my mom is on cholesterol medication, or she just has high cholesterol and she's working on bringing it down, and she takes like fish oil. Yeah.
condition.
I think I was aware of that.
Did you and your sisters joke that like he's actually thinning the sheets because he kicks a lot?
Sounds vaguely familiar.
All right. Yes.
Okay, we're approaching.
All right, we'll take a short break. Thank you.
All right, perfect. Let's get up. Let's pee. Let's stretch. Okay. Ugh. Okay, break. Get up and stretch. All right, everyone. What are your thoughts so far? Thoughts? No thoughts? Processing? Anything that stands out to you? Ah! My earbuds. Anything that stands out to you guys? He's just old. Yeah, where is he in the back? Someone said he's back there behind the lawyers. I don't see him. Someone said he's the guy with the folders in the back. I don't see him. Yeah, where are you at? Mr. Sanderson, where are you? Okay, so here's what we got so far. We have a witness. So the man that got into the crash with Gwyneth Paltrow, he is blind in one eye, not good hearing. It seems like he doesn't know what happened. It seems like he was out of it after the crash. It's debated whether or not he lost conscience. And the guy that witnessed it was his friend. However, the friend was like 40 feet or a yard away. I think 40 feet away. And he is colorblind. So he couldn't tell the difference between what the two people were wearing. We have a GoPro footage that was brought up to the friend, to the daughter. They both don't know what was on it. Have no idea. Nothing about it. The doctors on his side said that he definitely suffered a concussion. One doctor said that because he had broken ribs, Gwyneth Paltrow must have crashed into him and the guy must have landed on the snow. Now, the thing that I thought was a little bit weird was there was like one testimony. It was a friend's testimony said that when the friend landed in the snow, he went face first and he was like spread eagle and he lost conscience for 2 minutes. As a friend, would you just let your friend just be face flat on the ground like that and not like try to assist them or help them? Or like, wouldn't you try to flip them over or like check to see if they're okay? You're just going to let them stay face down on the snow. And then you wouldn't call for emergency help if they were unconscious for 2 minutes. I don't know. That's kind of weird to me. Like you just like stood there and just like asked Gwyneth Paltrow, "Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay?" Like, I don't know. I think that was kind of weird. And then I think the friend went back and forth though, saying that like Terry was spread eagle with his arms like flailed out like this. And then later on said Terry's arms weren't like this. They were by his side. And then afterwards, when he was being cross-examined, he said, no, they were spread eagle. So I don't know. I just feel like the friend, I don't think he's purposely lying on the stand. I think he's just, I don't know. He just kind of all over the place. I don't know. She may not also not know everything. My mom doesn't always tell me about her stuff. Hello, Jen Pico. Yeah, the friend is wishy-washy. I just think the friend just doesn't have a good memory and is not very consistent. I feel like the most reliable would probably be Gwyneth Paltrow, if anything. Because I feel like even though she may not be able to recall exactly what happened that day, but I would think that she would remember how she felt that day, right? So she probably remembers that like she was irritated. Some guy hit her. She was supposed to go ski with her kids. She wasn't able to anymore because the guy hit her. She's sore and that's about it. And that's, and then so now that she's getting a lawsuit a couple years later, she's probably like, wait, what? I remember I was the one that was irritated. I remember I was the one that was pissed. I remember I was the one that couldn't ski for the rest of the day. But you think the kids are going to testify? I don't know. I think the kids are... I don't know if the kid's testimony is going to mean too much, though. They were young. Like, her son, I think, was like 9 at the time. Sometimes you just remember things very differently. Like, I don't know if I would find a kid's testimony to be that reliable, especially if it's been 6... well, actually, more than that. It's been 7 years, right? So, I think one of the kids is like 9. And I don't know what the other one is. One is like Moses and one is Apple. But I don't know. Her daughter might. Chris Martin. Who's Chris Martin again? Chris Martin. What was Chris Martin in? Oh, it's her. Is Chris Martin like an ex-husband? Yeah, the judge says that if the microphone is not on you, then the camera should be pointing at you.
Okay, we're ready.
But his doctor testified that the broken ribs happen not on impact of the two crashing into each other, but upon falling into the snow. But the friend testified that when he fell into the snow, he went face down first. Because I was thinking, yeah, maybe like the ribs cracked when one person crashed to the other. Because if you fell face flat, then I don't know, wouldn't you maybe crack the left side too? But I don't know. Sometimes when you fall, you don't fall perfectly flat, right? You might fall like sideways and then land flat. I don't know. Kind of a mess.
Why don't we wait?
I do want to ask this question of plaintiff's counsel.
Yeah, the friend said he couldn't tell the difference because he's colorblind, so he couldn't tell the difference between the colored jacket that Gwyneth was wearing versus the colored jacket that Terry was wearing. So unless there's a huge like size disparity between the two of them, I don't know. I don't know how tall Terry is. I don't know how tall Gwen is. It looks like she's sort of tall. I don't remember which eye he was blind in. I think it was the right. I remember the guy was pointing like this, but I don't know if he was pointing it right because it was the right eye that was blind.
Because if they are, I'm going to spend more time with this witness.
No, we're not. We're not planning on it, so.
Okay, I'm going to rely on that and shorten my testimony.
Okay.
Oh, I like the judge's green bow tie. He's House Slytherin. Yeah, I don't remember which eye was blind, but it seems like it was the right ribs that were fractured. Oh, after this, I want to watch. I want to watch the Anderson trial. I want to see his reaction when they say that he's guilty.
Thank you. Mr. Owens, you may proceed.
Thank you. If your dad told the doctor 3 weeks before the ski collision that he was preoccupied with paperwork and cleaning things out and not doing things he enjoyed doing that he used to do, do you have any insights on that?
I do not.
Did you personally observe it?
I did not.
And how long had it been since you saw your dad prior? We said 3 months after the ski collision, but I'm not sure I asked you. How many months prior had you seen him?
I expect that we would have saw him either over the Christmas holiday or perhaps Thanksgiving. We usually did one or the other.
Where the accident was in May, it would have been 5 or 6
Accident
months.
was in February.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Sorry.
Yeah, so I'm thinking it would have been
Couple months.
2 months, 3 months.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Was your dad sort of a scary driver before the ski collision?
I think I mentioned he was a multitasker, so he did more things in the car than I wanted my teen drivers to witness.
This is the first time I've ever seen this, but not just texting, but he would actually read a book
What?
while driving
What?
on the interstate freeway.
Oh,
Is that true?
I'd heard that rumor, like back when we were children.
From your
on a
sister?
straight
maybe they didn't have Audible books back then.
stretch. I think that was something that.
From your sister?
Yeah,
That's bad judgment, isn't it? To actually read a book?
I wouldn't recommend it.
Maybe it was like stop and go traffic. I don't know. If it's like back in like, I don't know, the 80s, things were different back then. Did they not wear seatbelt back then either?
There's no foundation for that judgment. She doesn't have any firsthand.
Sustained.
Well, do you think that was bad judgment if your dad was reading a book, driving?
Judge, you just ruled on this.
Sustained.
It's a different question.
Go ahead and move on, counsel.
Thanks. All right. Your dad, our experts have actually compared brain imaging before the collision and brain imaging after the collision and have made various conclusions. I take it you don't know anything about that.
No advanced degrees in neuropsychology or.
All right. And then your dad really received all of his health care at the VA. Is that accurate?
I think his primary care provider, he uses the VA.
I'm talking like lots of medical care and lots of specialties. Are you aware of that?
Like I said, I think he really values his health and has always, had those checkups and would not surprise me.
So pre-collision, like a lot of medical records.
I think there's a continuity there that runs his whole life, before accident, after accident.
So I'm waiting for a yes on any of these.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay. And they knew him best. Fair enough? The VA people?
Foundation.
If you can answer the question.
I think it depends on if you have longevity with your primary care provider, and sometimes with the VA there's a lot of turnaround. They don't always stay a long time.
Do you know that he actually did have a long-term relationship with his primary care provider at the VA before this incident?
I don't know whether he did or not.
Okay.
I would be hopeful that he did.
Margaret Rasmussen. Do you know that name? Maybe I'm misstating it. Never mind, don't worry. Okay, then, so does this surprise you that your dad would go to the VA people and say, I want to be checked out. I want my thinking to be checked out. Did you ever hear him do that?
No, I did not.
Or that he had done that. That's how I should have said it.
I was not aware. I do
Okay.
know that he had follow-ups and healthcare visits, yes.
Did he ever tell you that he had had 3 neuropsych assessments?
What? People read books? I've never seen anyone reading books at the wheel. What? Where do you live? Texting and driving, I see. Phone and driving, I see. But reading books?
At the VA through his current treating providers?
Pre-collision?
No.
I polished my nails.
Did not mean to switch on you. Thank
Okay.
you. That's a good clarification. So, like 1 month after, 1 year after, 1 and 3 months after, that kind of thing.
I knew that he was having follow-ups because he was really worried about his mental state. So I haven't seen the medical records, but that seems, if that's what his medical record says.
And did you ever remember hearing from him or anyone else that they were all average to above average in like 20 different categories?
He did not share the response with me. I know he was doing a lot of work towards it, right? Cognitive work.
So you knew he was getting these assessments, but weren't you saying, hey, Dad, what are they saying? Didn't you do that?
Yeah, wouldn't you do
I
that?
don't think I asked for medical, information more about how are you doing? Do things feel less foggy for you? Are you more? You're doing it. I'm proud of you. Keep doing the work. Keep following up.
Post-collision travel. All right, so he would visit U.S. states like Washington, Oregon, Montana, Idaho. Do you recall all of those?
My sisters live in those states. I do, so yeah, I would say he did travel there.
And then, in addition, he went to Peru and walked the Golden Trail. True?
I can't speak to that. I do know he went to Peru.
Okay. Do you remember, like, Machu Picchu? He went and visited Machu Picchu?
He did not share that with me.
Or
I would have done that if I was in Peru.
Yeah.
Wait, he went to Machu Picchu? Machu Picchu, have you guys ever been before? Machu Picchu. It's like, I think it's like pretty physically intensive to go to Machu Picchu because of the high altitude. This is Machu Picchu here. It looks beautiful, by the way. But like to get up there, I think you got to like climb up, and then the altitude's like really, it's like really tough, right? And like sometimes like you feel like you can't really breathe properly. Like that's pretty. My friend went to Machu Picchu, and she was like, you know, healthy in her 20s, and she was struggling a little bit. What? He went to Machu Picchu? Maybe he got like helicoptered to the top or something like that. Or maybe is there like a train that takes you up there so you don't have to do this hike? Oh my God.
Yes. That he floated down the Amazon.
Did not.
This is early 2017. So about 1 year after the collision.
Wait, he floated down the Amazon? Oh, like rented a boat down the Amazon River or something like that? I'm like legit like floated down an Amazon like on a little floaty tube or something. Aren't there like snakes and all that? I'm sorry.
Do you recall how many weeks he was gone in
I'm on
Peru?
Friday brains right
I
now.
think it was a couple weeks, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, yes. That is a trigger. I've seen young women put on makeup while driving. My fucking friend used to do that. This bitch used to put on fucking mascara, eyeliner, like, dude, even at a stop, okay? I would be scared because what if a car hits you from behind? You're putting on mascara, eyeliner, you're gonna poke your eyeballs out. Oh my Lord. Yeah, this is actually after the accident.
And then Costa Rica, he did a zip line also the year after the accident. Do you recall this?
I was not aware he did a zip line. No.
How about Europe? Also the year after the accident.
Okay. To be fair, he was traveling everywhere. Wait, actually, no. No. Okay, so the travel thing's important because his opening statement was like, oh, well, this guy said his life was impaired. Was it impaired? He was traveling all over the place, domestic, international. He was traveling everywhere. But then earlier they had a doctor go up, and she said, well, after I talked to him, I told him that he should go back to traveling and do the things that he loved. But I don't think he saw her. Maybe this was after he saw her. I don't know if it's after or before. But apparently the doctor that he met with, the concussion person, she's like a neuropsychologist. She was like, oh, you should go back to traveling and stuff. And so now he's like bringing back the traveling stuff, but we didn't know he went to freaking Machu Picchu. He's like zip lining. He's floated down the Amazon River. I thought he was just going to like Europe, you know, or go to Cancun, all inclusive, lay on the beach, just chilling. But this guy looked like he was doing some active stuff.
He went to Europe the year after the accident.
So I recall in 2017, he had tickets to go with Robin.
Yeah, okay, so it was in 2017 that he met with a concussion person. So it's possible that she told him you should travel more, and he's like, okay, I'm going to travel more.
Then things fell apart with that relationship, and so he went to Europe with my younger sister, Jenny.
So the answer is?
Yes, I'm aware he went to Europe.
He went to the Netherlands and Germany and Switzerland and Italy and France and Belgium.
Correct. I believe so.
The Netherlands, he went there 3 different times.
But I guess, okay, let's give him benefit of the doubt. So just because he suffered from a concussion didn't mean he wasn't able to be as physically demanding for the activities or something like that. He wasn't able to meet the physical demands of certain activities, and that physically he was okay. It's that mentally he felt like he wasn't okay. He felt like he wasn't as sharp, he wasn't as smart, but he was able to travel and do all these things. It just sounds bad for the jury, I would just say. It just kind of sounds bad.
Is that true?
Sounds correct.
And that's the year 2 and 3 after the accident.
Okay.
You with me? Like you have to say, I can't testify. Do you know that?
I was not aware he had gone 3 times. I was aware that he had traveled to the Netherlands.
More than once?
To my recollection, twice.
Okay. Morocco.
Yes.
He twice visited Morocco.
That sounds correct.
Canary Islands. This is the year after, 2 years after the accident.
That was the same time I went to Morocco.
David.
The Canary Islands, I don't even know where those are. I should know. If they're not on a risk board, I don't know my geography. Do you know where it is?
I would have to look at a map or an atlas as well.
Oh, I love Risk. All right, 1 point to this guy for bringing up Risk. I love Risk. And Catan's cool too. You guys ever play Catan?
Okay. Thailand. He visited Thailand 3 years after the accident. Is this
Yeah, with his
right?
friend Boyd.
And each of these times he'd take pictures and post them with him smiling at all these great tourist spots. Do you agree?
As you do.
Yes.
Yes.
Big smiles in front of a Buddhist temple, for instance, right?
Yeah, we don't tend to post pictures of ourselves sad and in closets. No, we don't. We tend to.
The answer is yes?
Yes.
Like Eiffel Tower, Italy, the coast, all have big smiling pictures of
I'm curious about Machu Picchu now.
I haven't seen a lot of those photos that you're talking about. I think there were quite a bit of photos before the accident, too. I would want to make sure you could separate pre-accident, post-accident pictures.
Right, and you defer to your dad on that, right? If I asked him, like, does this state look right? And he says yes, I mean, he'd be the guy.
Possibly.
All right. So is it fair to say his travels did not suffer as a result of the ski collision?
Yes, you could say his travel companions might have suffered.
Okay, so like to get to Machu Picchu, you can take a train, you can take a bus. Okay, so it's not like you're just like hiking all the way up this damn mountain. It's just that once you're up there, it could just be very physically intensive because you're really up high. Altitude is high, lower oxygen. You might get like altitude sickness, headache, fatigue, nausea. I mean, okay, so he's suffering from a concussion. He could still travel. But I guess he just really doesn't like it that he feels like his quality of life has really diminished because I think when he's been traveling, he's always had to go with a companion. But I don't know, when you're old, I feel like you should always go with a companion though. But, okay. Trying to give him benefit of the doubt. I believe. Chen Pico. No.
One clarification, Carlene, that's our girlfriend. I heard some comment that they were engaged, and then I never heard that from her, Carlene. To your knowledge, were they engaged?
I'd never heard that word or fiance used. I think that was their intent and plan. But
And then on the prostate cancer, I heard the word cured from plaintiff's counsel, but I actually never heard it from a witness. Do you know that, in fact, your dad is cured?
I cannot answer to that.
You've been very kind. Thank you.
Oh, it's over. Okay. All right, we're back to redirect.
Mr. Owens,
Yeah, like I think the traveling thing might initially sound bad to the jury. It might look bad, but honestly, if like I could totally see that like if you did suffer from a back concussion, like okay, you could still travel. Like you have a travel companion with you. And you can still enjoy these things. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
asked you about Sam Goldstein's comment about Terry being obsessed. Do you know why Terry's obsessed with this case? Do you know why?
It's the foundation.
I think my dad is very principled, and I think not only was he injured, but I think this accident really hurt in a way that it hurt him in a way that somebody would just not care for him when he was injured. I think that his brain injury, he really does become consumed with things, and I think feeling like righting this wrong for him has really kind of consumed him, and he wanted to make it right. He wanted someone to at least apologize or acknowledge or be held accountable for their decision on that day.
Do you have any experience in mental health? And if so, tell the jury what it is.
Yeah, so I managed a mental health and substance use disorder clinic for several years.
Well, see, I don't think he was trying to shame him for. So David says some people would experience life despite not being the best health, and it's ludicrous to shame them for it. I think he just wanted to just show that, hey, it seems like your dad's quality of life didn't really diminish after this collision. It seems like he was still doing what he loved, which is traveling and, you know, all this other stuff. But I could totally see that, like, you know, you could still travel, but still be like mentally impaired, you know, especially if you have a companion with you.
In the Coeur d'Alene area?
Yeah, in St. Mary's, actually, for a FQHC there. So worked with people that were struggling mentally or with addiction. I ended up leaving just, you know, during the pandemic. It got so that the demand was much greater than we could fill, and it was really a lot of people in crisis a lot of the time. So I thought I was going to just take a break, work with kids, get upstream a little bit, and feel like create some buoyancy. And I still might go back to working in the mental health field, but for now, I like what I'm doing.
Now, you and your sister both went to the University of Idaho in Moscow, right?
All three of us.
Three of us. And so Shay was a senior, you were a freshman?
That's right. We were roommates. She was a senior, I was a freshman. That didn't work out so good. She was like, you know, you need to be home by 10. You got homework to do. And I was like, wait, you're not my mom. But we got through it. Yeah.
Did Jenny ever come visit you over there?
Yeah, she did. And we went home every chance we got to.
Okay.
It was hard. Our parents were going through the divorce. So myself at 18 and Shay at 21, it really felt like we left our little one behind. So yeah,
So people who say that like Gwen should have settled, true, but if let's say we gave her like the super mega benefit of the doubt that like she didn't cause this accident, he ran into her, and she's like, WTF, why is this guy suing me? He's after my money, and initially came after me for $3 million, but the judge didn't allow it, dropped to $300K. She might just be in the position where she's just like, you know what? I'm not giving this guy a single dime of my money. A single dime, even if I had to sit my ass in court for like 2 to 3 weeks, I'm not giving him a single dime, because maybe to her, she feels like he's trying to take advantage, or he's, you know, trying to steal money from her. He's making up all these lies. So, you know, if she had that perspective, then I could see why she just didn't want to settle. So it could just be a pride thing. Or it could just be like a, you know, like a moral thing. Like she just feels like she was not in the wrong. So why should I have to pay this guy money? But yeah.
we went back every chance we got.
You were quite close to her, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if that's true, but I think it's possible that could be her mindset. You know, who knows? She could be an asshole too. Maybe she did run into him and she's like, fuck you anyways. Let me use this as a way to feel drama, to get the spotlight on me, to promote my goop, you know? That's possible too, but I don't know. I don't think that's likely, but never know.
Tell the jury about Jenny's mental health problems.
So let me begin by just saying she's one of my favorite people.
Yeah, okay, so I do want to hear more about Jenny, because we keep hearing about Jenny. And she slightly said that Jenny has mental health issues. So let's hear about Jenny. Jenny is the youngest of the daughters, just to remind you guys. She's the youngest of the daughters, and she would have been a very important witness for Gwyneth Paltrow, because Jenny would basically just say everything that's the opposite of what the other two sisters are saying. Other two sisters are saying they're like, oh, dad was loving, dad was great, dad never yelled. But Jenny, on the other hand, you know, did not have a great relationship with her dad. Jenny said that dad was always kind of like, you know, a little bit, had anger issues, I guess, 10 years before the accident even happened. But I do want to hear what she has to say about Jenny.
But yeah, as probably a young adult, she was diagnosed with some mental disabilities. She is on disability now.
Objection, just a minute. Sustained?
Do you know this for a fact about her diagnosis? And how do you know?
I because I'm her sister and we communicate with each other, and I know she's on disability now.
Your Honor, my objection was sustained, and we're just pretending it wasn't.
That's what she said.
Objection is sustained. The answer is stricken, and the jury should disregard the response.
Excuse me, objection sustained. Why y'all acting like it wasn't sustained? Oh, Mr. Owen. Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. Sykes.
I think Mr. Owen's funny.
Explore this because he did quite a bit. So
Up here for just a minute.
Mr. Owen is spicy. You know, I like Mr. Owen's sass.
okay, would you? tell the jury what your experience with mental health is in the clinic. What did you do there,
Yeah.
and what did you learn?
So we had 7 counselors and people that came in for, it would be outpatient mental health services, anything from depression to anxiety to schizophrenia to whatever they were working on.
Your Honor, is this foundation for an expert opinion?
Oh, you know what? I do want to bring this up though. So there is an age gap between the youngest sister, Jenny, and her, about 6 years. And with the older sister, Shay, I don't even know what age gap that is. I think that's probably, I think she mentioned that like Shay was a senior and she was like a freshman. So it's probably like 6 years with her and then 10 years with the oldest child. And let's say Jenny did have mental disability issues. It's possible that dad treated her differently, maybe because, you know, he wasn't as patient as he was with her. Maybe it was hard raising her, you know, maybe she would act out and stuff like that. So I could totally see how the relationship between youngest sister, mental disability issue is very different than towards the other sister, right? You would have to have a lot of patience to deal with someone like that. And maybe he just was tired, didn't want to deal with it. Maybe she was hard to raise. I don't know. Yeah.
And she is not allowed to give.
Will you approach the bench, please?
Like, I'm not saying that he was a terrible father to her. I don't fucking know that, right? But I'm saying that it's possible that it was just tough to raise her. And yeah, maybe he did treat her differently. Sometimes you lose your cool. Sometimes you lose your patience with someone. It could be tough. I'm surprised there wasn't cameras. I know, right? Maybe there's cameras now. Or maybe it was, I think it was too uphill because I think they said that the crash happened like maybe like a fourth of the way in. So maybe they don't have cameras like uphill or something like that. I don't know. She's not an actress. No. No, she's not an actress. But I feel like, you know, we've all met someone that was kind of like her. She's like very into like the yoga, the spiritual stuff, you know. She seems like a nice person. You wonder if he was married during this time? I think when they mentioned that Jenny was leaving the house at 18, I think it was mentioned that the dad and the mom were going through like a nasty divorce during this time.
Yes.
And then I just requested an opportunity to put this on the record at some later date. I mean, some later time after the jury's gone. Okay. All right. Tell me the kind of things that Jenny...
I just want to take the jury's time with the argument.
Oh, yeah, we understand that.
So go ahead, Mr.
Yeah,
Sykes.
we don't want to hold them up either. Tell me some of the things that you discussed with Jenny on the phone. And when you had meetings with her, what are some of the things you discussed with her?
Are you talking about like just our phone calls and our catching? Yeah, so...
particularly with respect to your dad.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I saw her last month. I went over to Missoula for my birthday, and we took in a film festival, a documentary film festival together. So we got to visit a little bit about this upcoming trial. She was nervous.
This sounds like you're saying.
Yeah, and then also remember, she said that after the collision, the dad and Jenny got into an argument, and the dad yelled, "Fuck you," to Jenny's face. And she's like, "I've never seen that before." So, I mean, it's possible that the dad could also have a low tolerance or low patience with the youngest child.
Sustained as to hearsay?
Not what she said, but just what you observed about her.
What I observed, I observed that she wasn't in a great mental place with us. She was...
Expert opinion moved to strike. I think
As a sister, not as an expert.
In just a second, I want to hear the objection.
she was not in a good mental state.
Who is this guy? Stop putting your fingers in. He's over there snacking on his fingernails. Oh my God.
Expert opinion.
That's
I
not
think she can offer a lay opinion under Rule 701.
Snacking on his fingernails, touching his face. Oh God, my sister does that. And it annoys the crap out of me.
Go ahead. Offer your lay opinion, please.
Yeah, I was worried about her. I could tell that she was stressed out. She confided in me that her counselor had said
You can't talk about what she maybe said
okay,
to you,
all right.
But you're certainly able to talk about what you observed.
Yeah. Her cat Potts wasn't doing really great. She was worried about her cat. She was worried about taking time to get here.
And those would be communications.
And that's something I can share or no? So something I observed.
You can't relay information that you obtained from her verbally.
Okay.
You can, what you saw when you were with her, you can
Right.
talk about that.
Right.
But not what she told you.
Okay. I just really enjoyed my time with her, as I always do.
did she appear to be under a lot of stress?
Yeah, she had some, heaviness about her.
Over the years, as you've heard her talk about your dad, okay, have her complaints and observations always been accurate in your opinion?
I think her mind, she has a creative way of seeing things. She was an art major. She's very visual, struggles with verbal communication. I think of everyone in the family, I do best with almost, I don't know if I can call it translating or interpreting and drilling down to what she's trying to say. There are times, though, when, and I don't want to speak for my other sister, Shay, but I can speak for myself when I've experienced that her understanding of a situation is very different than mine.
To strike that. We're getting it out of a lay perspective.
I wish we can hear from Jenny. I don't want to hear what the sister's interpretation of Jenny is. I'd rather just hear from Jenny.
I think that is a lay opinion of
I mean, you need to lay the foundation based on her perception.
Okay.
So based on her reasonable perception, then it would qualify as a lay opinion.
Yeah, tell the jury what you've observed about her perceptions. Lay a foundation for us.
Yeah. I mean,
Lots of meetings, lots of telephone calls. You talked about that.
yeah, well, we FaceTime quite a bit. Like I said, she's very visual, one of my favorite people to walk with, because she'll say things like, wow, stop, look at that, look at those colors together, you know. She sketches a lot. She has a whole nother way of seeing the world that sometimes is beautiful.
That's an expert opinion. Do we have to keep dealing with this?
Lay a foundation for her perceptions.
Overruled. Go ahead.
Go ahead.
It's really cool when you can expand your way of understanding, right? And we're always kind of myopic. Like I see things how I see things, and you see things how you see things. So what I appreciate about Jenny is that she has another way of seeing things. And sometimes that is really difficult. Sometimes with communication, things get twisted or confused, and there's a lot of clarification that has to happen often. And
Can we put on the record she is not here as a mental health expert, and she is not a mental health expert.
I think
I will
you can
pin
bring
the
that out on
message.
cross-examination. This is a lay opinion of a sister about a sister and nothing more. Go ahead, Mr.
I'm
Sir.
sorry you were interrupted. See if you can finish what your thought was.
yeah, and I don't want anyone to think that I'm an expert on anything. What I can speak to is the fact that I have had a relationship with her for 41 years. You know, she's kind of my first baby. I was 6 when she was born. So I can just speak to that relationship and growing up with her.
You were saying, I think you said she had another way of perceiving things. Is that what you were saying?
Yeah,
Hi,
I think she
Judy.
has a unique way of looking at the world.
That's not always true.
Your Honor.
It's not always easy. Yeah.
Just a minute.
She can't make a credibility statement about her sister's thoughts.
Sustained.
Let me rephrase
And also
that.
sustained as to vagueness.
Okay. When you said another way of, I want to quote you correctly, another way of perceiving or understanding, you said that.
I did say that. I think
Now, what did you mean by that is my question.
it kind of comes back to Mr. Owens when I spoke with him earlier, and he was saying, so are you telling the truth or is she telling the truth? And I had a hard time answering that because I can speak to my own experience, but I am not in her lived experience with her, who she is, and I have not lived her life and her experience. I know her to be truthful. I've never heard her lie. So if she's communicating that to you, that is her understanding of the experience. Yes, we have had times, though, when she has saw something that I have not seen, or I would portray it as differently than her.
Based on your knowledge of her in the past few years, okay, and your knowledge of her over the years as her sister and one who loves her, are her perceptions always accurate?
They're not.
Hold on one second, Judge. No further question, Judge.
Thank you. Mr. Owens.
What is she wearing? I was so confused. Is she wearing like a suit with boots on? Are those Tim's? I want to see her
I
outfit.
understand Jenny to be a perfectly lovely, well-spoken person. Do you?
She's lovely. I would not use the words well-spoken.
Did you read her 136-page deposition?
Oh, I wonder if I can get a hold of this deposition. I will totally read 130 pages on a stream if I get a hold of this deposition.
Am I allowed to?
Of course you are.
No, I have not read her deposition.
Well, I don't know if you are, but I didn't give it to you. I'm just wondering.
Does it surprise
What?
you that questioning and answering were perfectly eloquent? The whole thing for like hours and hours.
I object, Your Honor. She has no foundation to answer that question, and that's just a personal opinion.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Does it surprise you that Jenny could talk eloquently for hours and hours?
Same objection.
Sustained. It sounds like counsel's testifying.
Okay. She has a bachelor's degree, right?
Well, it was hard fought, but we got there.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the answer?
Yes, is the answer.
Oh man, I don't know. I feel like if I was a sister and I was listening to my sister testify about me, and when the lawyer asked, "Your sister has a bachelor's degree, right?" Yeah, but it was hard fought. But yeah, she does. I don't know. It just feels like you're just like degrading what I earned. But you know, I don't know. It seems like a really loaded answer. Like, oh yeah, my sister couldn't have done it without us, and we had to help her. Like, I don't know. It just felt like that's what she was saying. But maybe I'm just reading too much into it.
I mean, it sounds like I'm defending your sister here, and you're not. So let's kind of talk about it.
No, because I will.
Objection, Your Honor. That's improper.
Yeah.
Overruled.
Bye, see Owen.
You said Jenny is truthful. Yes?
I've never known her to lie. Intentionally lie, no.
So,
Ah, man, I don't know. I feel bad for Jenny. It must be tough growing up. You're the youngest one, and you have a mental disability, and then I don't know, like, I don't know. I just feel like the way that she probably got treated in her family must have been pretty tough. I'm not saying that her family was like evil or malicious or anything like that, but I don't know. The way that she was treated must have been like tough. She must have felt like anything that she did has to be like double, triple checked, and I don't know. I mean, I don't know about the sister. Maybe she does have this really bad disability that prevented her from doing a lot of things, and maybe the family had to treat her with like kid gloves on all the time. This isn't where again?
if she says your father violated boundaries she set for years, you defer to her?
Objection, Your Honor, that's beyond the scope, and he's already covered that in his.
Overruled.
I would say that's something my sister has communicated to me, is that it's something she really practices with my dad, is healthy boundaries.
And both the other sisters do too, right?
Yeah,
Set boundaries,
yeah.
and sometimes he violates them.
I think
True.
all healthy relationships have to have boundaries. And yes, that has been, after the accident, definitely something that I struggle with my dad.
If I can find it, I want to. I just don't know if this is like public information. I'm trying to see if I could just like look up on Pacer and maybe it's on there. I don't know. Let's see.
Is she telling the truth when she believes that your dad would exaggerate for money and celebrity?
Objection, Your Honor, that's beyond the scope. That's also, it's counsel.
Overruled.
She would be telling her truth.
I am winding up here. Is she telling the truth when she says he's deceptive?
Your Honor, I make the same objection, that's improper questioning.
I think we covered this before also, didn't we?
That's a new word.
Okay. Overruled.
I would say she's telling her truth.
Is she telling her truth when she says, I'm having a problem finding my quote on this. I apologize. Give me 1 second, please.
I don't know why they print out these stupid transcripts. Wouldn't it be easier just like have it on the computer and Control F and then I don't know.
He will get whatever monetary benefit he can in business, even if it's dishonest.
Objection, same. It's been gone through.
That's not a
And
quote,
it's-
but it is a summary.
And it's totally irrelevant, it's improper questioning.
Overruled.
I don't know that to be true. Again, this is Jenny's supposition.
Is she telling the truth when she describes your dad as anal retentive?
I'm thinking that word came up with my older sister too, because she brought up that word, and I said, I don't even know what anal retentive means.
Jen.
What does anal retentive mean? So, if you're talking like type A, an order and details, I would say that's true.
Okay, so let me make sure we rephrase, make sure we're on the same page.
Okay.
Is she telling the truth when she says he has anal retentive? He's anal retentive.
I would not call him anal retentive. No.
Okay, but both your sisters did, right? Shay said that too. Do you recall?
Shay said that the word anal retentive came up in her deposition, and I said it did not come up in mine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't make it up.
Came from somewhere.
Okay, anal retentive has nothing to do with our bottoms. Is that true? Just to make sure we're talking about the same thing. Yeah.
It's got the word anal in it.
I know. I don't like saying it.
Is that the definition?
What is going
I'll
on
tell you what,
here?
let's. I think it's obsessive, sort of. That's how I understand it. But and it is.
Sustained.
She asked me, but I'll be quiet.
Yeah, let's move on.
Those are all my questions. Thank you.
Mr. Sykes, anything else? Okay.
What's up?
And counsel, please approach.
What an interesting exchange.
You answered some of Mr. Owen's last questions, that she's telling her truth. Define that for us, please. What does that mean?
I think human beings move through the world and we have our own understanding and experience of things. I think there's a neurodiversity that exists in this world, and there are different ways of understanding and experience. Like I said, I don't know Jenny to be untruthful. I think she sees the world in a curious, different way.
But that's not your truth.
No, it's not my experience. Those are not my experiences.
No further question.
Would she get it wrong that she didn't talk to her dad for 13 years?
I believe that is wrong.
Overruled? Overruled.
So you think she can be wrong?
Yeah, that sounds wrong to me, from my knowledge and understanding. So if you want to clarify, you're saying that after she moved out, she never saw my dad for 13 years?
We'll defer to her testimony, but whatever
Okay.
she said. Okay. Thanks.
I forgot to ask you one question. 2017,
Wait, so she did not see the dad for 13 years?
your dad broke up with
Robin.
Robin Dale, right? Okay.
Yeah, that's beyond the scope here.
And she went to,
Overruled. Go ahead and.
she went to he took Jenny to Europe with him, didn't he?
That's correct.
Did they have a good time?
No, it was miserable. I think at some point she sent me footage where the bearing had gone out on my dad's Beely suitcase. And it was just an hour and a half of him like spinning the wheel trying to figure it out. And when I said, how are things going?
Couldn't fix that post-accident, huh?
No.
Owens?
Your Honor, I'm going to put this on the record because I think I misspoke. With Jenny, you said that you and your father didn't speak for 13 years after you graduated from high school. We spoke.
Your Honor, I object to this.
I'm correcting my error because
Well-
I spoke in error. It says we spoke. It was just distant.
All right.
So I misspoke. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so you can step down. You're still under subpoena, and so you need to be available for any further for testimony perhaps later in the case.
Okay.
Thank you.
She was subpoenaed only for today.
Well, I guess I'm extending it by order right now then.
Okay.
Thank you. Yes, I'm sorry. Thank you. I was just reminded. I'm sorry, Ms. Gresham. You're still under the witness rule, meaning that you can't watch the proceedings, you can't sit in here, and you can't talk to other witnesses about the case. Thank you.
No, she can't watch our
Mr.
stream
Sykes?
Well,
yet.
confer with more learned counsel for just a minute.
Okay, so where's Terry at? None of these are Terry. I don't think Terry's here, guys. Oh, this is not even on the live. What time is it in Utah?
My name is Lance Harrison. I'm the videographer. The court reporter is Rossanne Morgan. We represent Max Merritt, located in Salt Lake City, Utah. The time and day indicated on the Zoom feed is 12:11 p.m. Mountain Time, March 13th, 2023. This is the case of Terry Sanderson versus Gwyneth Paltrow, case number 05
Mount time.
00048 in the 3rd Judicial District Court, Summit County, State of Utah. Counsel will now introduce themselves, and the court reporter will swear in the witness.
Who is this?
Lawrence Bueller for Plaintiff Terry Sanderson.
James Egan for Gwyneth Paltrow, the defendant.
With me is also Robert Sykes.
I don't know, just myself, if I can ever get this thing turned on. Okay, Robert Sykes, also counsel for the plaintiff.
It's like lighting, webcam, green
Doctor, can you raise
screen.
your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give today will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth so help you God?
I do, Madam Court Reporter.
Thank you. Go ahead, counsel.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Dr. Bain, could you state your name and spell it for the record, please?
Certainly.
Pacific time,
My name is Richard
2:30.
Bain, and that is spelled B-O-E-H-M-E.
Okay. And I'd like to just get some background and educational information. So, where were you born?
Wait, I want to read this. So this was the initial complaint that was filed by Terry Sanderson. So it says the case involves a hit and run ski crash at Deer Valley, Utah, where defendant Gwyneth Paltrow skied out of control, hit the back of Terry Sanderson, another skier who was downhill, knocking him hard, knocking him out, and causing a brain injury, 4 broken ribs, and other serious injuries. Paltrow got up, turned, and skied away, leaving Sanderson stunned, lying in the snow, seriously injured. A Deer Valley ski instructor who had been training Ms. Paltrow, but who did not see the crash, skied over, saw the injured Sanderson, and skied off, falsely accusing Sanderson of having caused the crash. He also failed to send help as he was obligated to do so, and later filed a false report to protect his client, Ms. Paltrow. Neither Ms. Paltrow nor Deer Valley Lodge personnel notified emergency responders about the injured Dr. Sanderson. They left him the scene with the serious brain injuries caused by Ms. Paltrow. No one from the Paltrow group, including the 2 Deer Valley employed instructors, bothered to call the ski patrol to assist the severely injured Dr. Sanderson. Later, Deer Valley ski instructor Eric Christensen filed out and signed an incident report falsely stating that Gwyneth Paltrow did not cause the crash, even though Mr. Christensen did not see the crash. These negligent actions by defendants, including Gwyneth Paltrow and Deer Valley, caused Dr. Sanderson additional emotional distress. On or about February 26, 2016, plaintiff Terry Sanderson, although an experienced skier, was skiing at Deer Valley on a green beginner run known as Bandana. Above and behind Dr. Sanderson were defendants Gwyneth Paltrow, Eric Christensen, and those 1 and 2. Gwyneth Paltrow was skiing out of control. How do they know that? No one witnessed saying that, oh, she was skiing out of control. Gwyneth Paltrow was skiing too fast. Again, no one witnessed that as well. Gwyneth Paltrow was distracted. No one witnessed that as well. So the witness that said that he saw the collision said he heard a scream and then saw the collision, but he didn't see Gwyneth Paltrow skiing. He didn't see her going too fast. He didn't see her being distracted. So maybe, Gwyneth Paltrow's side, upon seeing this, they're probably like, what? This is bullshit. 16. Upon information believed, Gwyneth Paltrow was skiing in a group of skiers, including family, friends, and Deer Valley employees that were skiing to the bottom of the hill to meet others for lunch. Upon information believed, Deer Valley employees, including defendants Christian Doe 1 and 2, were instructed in guiding Gwyneth Paltrow and her family and her friends in a group while they scaled down the ski slope. Gwyneth Paltrow, Deer Valley, and his employees, including without limitations, defendant Christian Doe 1 and 2, owed a duty to those skiers, especially downhill skiers, such as Dr. Sanderson, to ski safely in control while maintaining a lookout for other skiers. So I don't think even the witness, the friend that testified, said that they saw the positioning of Gwyneth Paltrow and Terry Sanderson. He claimed that he heard a scream, turned around, and then saw the smash, and then they both fell forward. And then Gwyneth Paltrow slid in front. But I don't know. It seems like this is a lot of this is embellished, which is no wonder why his $3 million claim got dismissed. And also the hit and run claim got dismissed. Yeah, and they also said that they didn't notify ski patrol, but Gwyneth Paltrow's side said, no, ski patrol came by, asked if everyone was okay. And Terry Sanderson said he's fine. And that's why they all ended up leaving. Gwyneth Paltrow knew it was wrong to ski out of control too fast for her ability and distracted, but she did it anyways. But they didn't know that that happened. That's what's being disputed. See, like, I feel like if they were this confident, they better have some like surveillance footage or some strong witnesses to back this up, but they do not have that. Okay. All right. That's all I wanted to talk about. There's another guy that's testifying right now. I'm actually going to hop off. I'll probably like revisit this and read like a law and crime summary. Maybe like, law and crime usually does like these, what's it called? Recaps and stuff. So we'll probably watch that. But, I wanted to quickly, before I go, I wanted to just look at this guy's reaction. Zachariah Anderson verdict. So we watched this trial last week, and this is the POS dad that sent his daughter to go spying with him on her own mom. Okay. And he was planting burner phones in the mom's car, in the AC vent, at the house. You know, he had the kids around while he was doing all this crazy shit. And he was on trial for the murder of Rosalio Gutierrez Jr., who the mom was dating at the time. And so even though they never found the body, they found there was blood all over the victim's apartment. You know, he's missing. But for him, they found like an active fire pit that was lit recently. I think he had like 2 fire pits or something. And in the fire pit, they found like Clorox. They found like buttons to his jeans. So it seemed like he probably disposed of the clothes he was wearing while he murdered the guy. They found like bleach stains in the back of his van. But it was just really sad to see the daughter testifying against him. And just basically having to recount all the crazy shit the dad did from the ages of like 10 to like, I don't know. She only mentioned like stuff that happened when she was 10 and stuff that happened when she was like turning 12, 13. But I just want to watch the verdict because I want to see his facial reaction when they read the verdict to him. I think Law and Crime has, where is Law and Crime? I want to watch the Law and Crime one, or I should watch the Court TV one.
The jury find the defendant, Zachariah.
Wait. Is this the
verdicts? You have heard the clerk reading verdicts finding yes. A pleasant jury to work. It's because of people like you that it's kept strong.
Okay. All right. Let's watch. Whew. Okay.
The jury find the defendant, Zachariah Anderson, guilty of intentional homicide of the first degree as charged. As to the 4th count of the information, we, the jury, find the defendant, Zachariah Anderson, guilty of hiding a corpse.
He knew because the jury, I think they only deliberated for like, what, a day and a half or something? So he knew that they're going to come back with a guilty verdict, man.
As charged.
Oh, I put in the wrong stack.
What's going on?
Yeah, you may be seated. Members of the jury, are these your unanimous verdicts? You have heard the clerk reading verdicts finding the defendant guilty as to each count.
This is his ex-girlfriend, by the way. The victim is her boyfriend.
Of the information, I'm going to pull you by seat number 1 through 6 across the top, 7 through 12 across the front. If you agree with each and every one of these verdicts, finding the defendant guilty as charged, please respond by saying yes. If there is any of the verdicts with which you do not agree, even one, please respond by saying no. Were these and are these now your verdicts? Number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6? No, 5?
Yes.
Okay, 6? No, 7.
Because during trial, when his daughter was testifying, he was like, oh, really? Oh, really? He had like the oh, really face on. At some point that he would look like he was in such disbelief that she was saying things that were, you know, incriminating.
Yes. 8? Yes. 9? Yes. 10? Yes. 11? 12? Yes. All right, any further requests with respect to the jury?
Not from the state.
No, Judge.
All right. Folks, I want to thank you for your service in this case. I could not have asked for a more cooperative, pleasant jury to work with. And in no way am I commenting whatsoever on the
Yeah, there
outcome
was
of the case
bleach in the back of his
of
truck,
the,
van or whatever.
length of the case.
The daughter said that the stains were not there before the murder happened.
And what the original expectations were, some of the interruptions and long breaks, and I could go on. You have been, I've never worked with a more patient and cooperative jury, and it's been a true pleasure for me to do that. This is far more important than most people realize. I mean, our entire freedom in this country is dependent upon people like you who take time off at great sacrifice to perform this service to
He's over it.
Their fellow citizens, and it's a guarantee of freedom.
When do we get to sentencing? Do you guys know?
Against oppressive government that other countries don't have.
Yeah, I feel so bad for the
It's
daughter.
because of people like you that it's kept strong and handed down to our children and the generations which follow us. So there is no way I could adequately express the gratitude we have for you folks. And I want to advise you that you're never under any obligation to discuss.
I want to go to when the judge talks to the...
later. You're ready to service here. And would be a court proceeding here in the open court. Other than that, you don't have to answer anybody's question if you should. Thank you. Mr. Gravely.
Judge, I'd move to revoke bond and ask the court to set a sentencing date.
Defense?
Judge, we would be asking the court to enter judgment notwithstanding the verdict.
All right, the state's motion will be granted. The defense motion is denied. And set a date for sentence. Pre-sentence investigation is ordered. The defendant's bond is revoked.
Looking at the afternoon of May 17th. Do you think they need more time for CSR? I think we want more time.
I didn't know you can get a bond while you're awaiting sentences.
The defense is going to want to prepare our own sort of memorandum.
Weeks from there? Maybe late that week?
No, I have a trial in Oconto County.
I have a trial also.
How about the week before, May 22nd?
I have a trial then too.
Yeah.
Maybe late in the week? Very, very late in the week, maybe?
How about June 12th?
What about June 8th?
Trial.
All right, trying to figure out what date.
In the morning? June 15th is a Thursday?
Could you do the 16th?
June?
I could do the 16th as well.
Well, this is going out a little bit far.
Yeah, June!
If we could go back to May, was that May 16th available?
It is for us.
We have a court trial that morning.
We go.
For the afternoon.
So
Well, we can adjust.
Wait, Comer, are you watching the live or Comer, are you watching? Well, obviously, if you're not watching the lives, then you might be watching when I started my stream. Who's David?
That trial. Let me look at the date.
So May
Although it
16th.
must be good. No, what's the date?
That was my understanding too, Nate. That's why I was really surprised that Murdoch was sentenced the next day.
Yeah, that
Like 1:30?
should be all right.
1 or 1:30?
That's fine, either. Either works for the defense.
Whatever the clerk says. I don't manage.
Oh, he's talking to you, David.
Unless I have to do with a calendar.
Yeah,
the
this
more
guy
likely
was
things
so
are to
guilty.
Come off correctly.
Guilty, guilty, guilty.
That, Madam Clerk, that is what you said, right? Okay.
Okay, we're scheduling. What date do we choose? Oh, poor Sadie. So they agreed for May? Mid of May? Okay, we'll keep an eye out for that then. All right, guilty. Next. Actually, that's about it. That's the end of my stream. Guys, if you guys missed parts of the Gwyneth Paltrow case, I uploaded parts of it on YouTube. Check it out. I'll keep an eye on it. We're not going to watch the whole trial. I'll pop in here and there. And then usually I just watch the trial on my own sometimes, and I just listen at like 2 times speed. But guys, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you guys had a good time here. I'm going to end my stream right now. And yeah, guys, we'll be back again. I don't know if I'll be back tomorrow. We have Resident Evil 4 is coming out tomorrow, so we'll see. Actually, you know what? I did want to watch it though, because I do want to hear what the other sister has to say. I don't know if she's going to be testifying tomorrow. I think so, because it seems like the defense, the plaintiff's case, they might rest this week, and then Gwyneth Paltrow's side will go possibly next week. So I'll probably be back again tomorrow, but I will let you guys know. And if you guys are new here, feel free to join the Discord. Discord is where I have my notifications and announcements, stuff like that. So join the Discord. The link is right here. Bye. Take care. Yo, bye, everyone. Take care. Hope you guys had fun, and good luck. And yeah, I don't know. Hopefully we don't get any more crazy weather here in LA. We had a tornado the other day. We had some hail. Snowing was like 2 hours ago or something. Or 2 hours away it was snowing. So yeah, guys. Bye. Bye, Christine. Bye, Dragon. Bye, Jen Pico. Bye, Mimi. Bye, Judy. Bye, Nevada Nate. Bye, David. I'll see you guys later. Bye, Bleep. Have a good one. And yeah, guys, take care. Thank you so much for watching this with me. I appreciate your commentary, and bye.